Okay. All right, that's better. That's better. A little bit late on that one. Sorry about that. I got a little wrapped up. But seems how I'm the only one here, we're good. So if anybody's here tonight that wants to join in, the link is always tagged at the top of the chat. I did not ask anybody, Greg Brink or Troy Sutton, to come join me tonight. I thought about it and I decided I was going to hold back. There we go. We got one person in. How you doing? Again, I didn't invite Greg Brink or Troy Sutton to join me tonight, although they can if they want to, or anybody can if they want to. It's tagged at the top of the chat. I figured I'd go over some things here. Hi, Kay. Hi, Arlene. How we doing? All right, so I just kind of wanted to go over some of the things I've had going on. About 3 weeks ago, I think it was, I started to change things up in my kitchen. I watch a lot of shows on HGTV and whatnot, and it seems to be one of the most popular ones now is where the top cabinets are white and the bottom cabinets like a dark gray or a different color or whatnot. And I really like the look of that, so I wanted to try it in my kitchen. The problem with it is that my kitchen is so outdated. The cabinets were regular cabinets on the wall, and then they put another face over the cabinets, put different doors on the cabinets, and they did it all with like beadboard. I don't like the look of it at all. Even painted, I don't like the look of it. And another real problem with having it be beadboard on the front is that not only do I have the 1/2 inch thickness or 3/4 inch thickness of the actual cabinet, but now I have another 3/4 inch thickness on that. And that's not going to work for me because my dream kitchen is going to have soft closing doors, soft closing drawers. And soft closing hinges you cannot use on anything more than 3/4 of an inch face on the cabinet. So I'm going to be tearing out all the cabinets and just totally rebuilding all of them. I mean, I can build better cabinets than what came with the house anyway. They looked great when we bought it, but that was back in 2019. 6 years later, I'm looking at it going, okay, everything's dark brown. I don't like it. It's too dark for a kitchen. I actually looked at doing the solid stone countertops. Hang on to your hat if you plan on doing something like that. I have an island that's about 3 foot by 6 foot, and I wanted to change it to 45 inches wide by 7 foot long and add new cabinets under it and all that stuff. Just the countertop alone on top of that was over $1,500. And that alone sold me on the fact of, well, I'm not spending $400 per cabinet, plus doing that on top of the cabinets. I can build the cabinets myself for a lot cheaper. I'm a very good cabinet maker. I've done it many, many times for not just myself, but other people as well. And so I'm going to get a lot of my shop cleaned out. Hopefully tomorrow. I have a friend coming over with his truck, and we're going to be going out in the shop. Anything that is wood related in my shop right here, right now, present, that sits on the floor, on the tables, leaning up against something, anywhere, is all going to get loaded onto his truck. He's taking it home, and he's going to let his son use it as a burn pile. And yeah, you're right, Arlene. Everything is very expensive now. But I did find an alternative countertop that I really like. And my original plan especially for the island, my original plan for the island is I was going to build my own butcher block countertop. And it just so happens I still could. I've got all the wood in my yard to do it. I just don't have the space to do it. And I really don't want to devote the time to do it because I have other projects going on. As soon as this kitchen's done, I'm moving from there onto the stairway that brings you up to my office area. And that's going to be all done in cherry. I've got a whole bunk of cherry out in my driveway. I mean, we're talking 700 board feet of cherry wood. It's all rough cut wood. It all needs to be run through the wood shop to be, cut down to size, planed, sanded, and all that stuff. And so that's going to be what my stairway is going to be made out of. For the cabinets, I'm just going to go with the basic, what they call Pro Panel, 3/4 inch. It's a cabinet grade plywood, and any faces or any edges of the plywood that's actually going to show to the eye will be cut short, and then another piece of real pine will be glued to it, so that it looks like it's all just solid wood. That's my whole intention. Around the doors will be all solid wood looking. At the ends of the cabinets, they'll be cut a little bit short on the face so that they look solid wood. And everything will be within that 3/4 inch range that I need to be able to use the soft close hinges and whatnot like that. And that kind of leads me to the segue of this one. When I went looking for soft close hinges, there's a lot of places to sell them. They are not cheap. They are not cheap. I was able to score a big box of them. I think there's, I don't know, 36 soft close hinges in the box, might be 48. But I didn't pay very much for them. And they're pretty much made by the same company as what they sell at Lowe's or Home Depot or wherever anyway. But while I was there, I was doing my checkout process. And it was actually kind of funny. Let me put this out. It was actually kind of funny. When I went through and I did my checkout, it came up with a last minute deal buy. I don't know if anybody knows anybody that has DeWalt tools, but this last minute deal buy, and right now they're still on deal. These are lithium 20 volt, 8 amp hour batteries made for DeWalt. It works in every DeWalt tool. It charges by the same DeWalt charger. I got these things for 2 for $26. So I bought 4 of them. And a friend of mine's a contractor, and he uses nothing but DeWalt. So I told him about it. And he's like, well, I'll buy some of them from you. And I told him, okay, I will order you some. And of course, I've already bought 4 for myself. Well, he came over yesterday. The new order won't be here till, I think, Monday, maybe. Yeah, Monday. Of the ones that I just bought. But I still had these 4. And he only wanted 2 to start with, just so he can try them out. So I made a deal with him. I says, yeah, you can buy 2 of them for what I paid for them. But from here on out, they're going to cost you more money, because you can pay the same amount of money that I pay. Maybe. I do a lot of business with Temu. But maybe you can get them for the same price I pay. You just got to wait for the shipping and handling on them or whatever. And it's not that long. They're in U.S. warehouses anyway. But I gave him 2 to try. And that was yesterday, my birthday. He stopped by for my birthday. And I thought it was fun. We got to hang out for quite a while and stuff. He wasn't working on Friday for some reason. I don't know. He's a contractor. But for some reason, Friday, he doesn't have a whole lot going on. And so I told him, hey, I'm ordering more of these batteries. And he's like, well, okay, great. He says, now that I've got these 2 to try, if I like them, I have another guy that wants to buy some from you too. So I may become the middleman for DeWalt batteries in my area. I'm not real sure. Thank you, Arlene. I just turned 16. We're reversing the numbers now. After you get past like 20, I don't want to be 2 years old anymore, but going back to 12 would be kind of cool. So 21 on up, But yeah, I may become the local DeWalt battery replacement guy. I don't know. I did it. Arlene, I had a great day. Actually, the day before that was a celebration of life for a friend of mine that passed away. And I went to help get things set up, but I didn't go empty-handed. Most people, when they go to stuff like that, they're just like, yeah, I'll come help you. Well, I didn't go empty-handed. I actually made 4 8x8 carrot cakes the day before. And then Thursday morning, I made all the frosting for them and stuff, because I didn't want to frost them too early. The frosting dries out after a while. And then I also had 2 loaves of pineapple zucchini bread that I took with me there. And I went there thinking, I'm going to be one set of hands. They asked for an extra set of hands. So I'm going to be that extra set of hands. And we were supposed to do cabbage rolls in the morning. Never did them before. Thought, well, it's a good experience. I'll do cabbage rolls with you. It turned out that the lady that was doing all the cooking did the cabbage rolls the night before and already had them in her crock pots when she showed up. So all she had to do was plug in her crock pots. Well, that took away the big part of the job. And then there was just so many other people. I mean, we're talking a kitchen about the size of my kitchen, a typical house kitchen. There was 8 people in that kitchen trying to work around each other. And I was like, I'm going to go hang out at the bar. If you guys need help with anything, just call. I help set up the tables and do all that stuff. I just went out and sat at the bar, and I sat there for almost 2 hours. And Leah had sent me a text, and she says, hey, am I riding home with you tonight or what? And I told her, I said, at the time, it was early. I told her, I says, I don't know. I don't know how much longer we're going to be doing the setup and how much more time they need me for or whatever. Well, by 2:30, I texted her back at her job, and I was like, hey, I can give you a ride home. I feel like I'm just sitting here as a spinning wheel. I'm not doing anything for anybody. I'm not helping out anymore. My time is done. So when you're done work, I'm done. And that was 3 o'clock. So I picked her up and we came back home. But yeah, I made 4 of those carrot cakes. So one I dropped off to my mom to share with her caretaker because my mom's 90 years old. And her caretaker lives right down the hall. She's a sweetheart. And then I kept one for the house and then donated 2 more for the life celebration party. But then they told me, well, his calling hours are tomorrow from 5 to 7. Are you going to be there? And I was like, no, I'm not. Tomorrow's my birthday. I'm sorry. Even though he was a good friend of mine, no, I'm not going on my birthday. I'm sorry. You picked the wrong day for that one. But yeah, so yesterday I went out and fired up my smoker at like noon. I really wanted to get it going about 11:30, but I didn't get up very early in the morning. It was my day not to get up. And so I went out and I fired up my smoker at noon, and I bought a really, really big pack of ribs. When I took my mom's caretaker shopping Wednesday, I went to the rib section, where they have Lloyd's and Jack Daniels and all those. Well, those ribs don't have any meat on them at all. And she wanted to go into the meat department. So while she was in the meat department, I went over and I looked at the ribs over there, raw ribs basically. And they had a ton of meat on them. And I know from experience, that's a 6-hour cook time right there. It's 3 hours on the grill, bone side down, spraying it every hour with apple cider vinegar and apple juice mix 50-50. And then you wrap it in foil and you turn it so that the bone side's up. You cook it that way for 2 hours. You leave it wrapped into foil. You drop it into a cooler, close the lid, and just let it rust for an hour. I did all that. It turned out falling off the bone delicious. But it took a little bit longer at night than I expected it to because I was planning on starting a little earlier in the day. But like I say, I didn't get up real early in the morning. I played lazy. But yeah, so that was that. And it turned out really good. Really good. I did get 1 piece of my carrot cake. In my defense, Leah ate 3/4 of it before I got my piece. And I had it for breakfast this morning after my bowl of oatmeal, but it was good. And the zucchini bread, when I made it, I made 3 big loaves and 3 little loaves all at the same time because my mom likes it, but she doesn't want the big loaf. She wants just a little one. So I kind of compromise when I do it. I actually went and bought a bunch of those little disposable foil bread pans. Walmart had them for, I think it was $1.32 or something like that for 5 pans. I ended up buying 15 of them. Now I can make, because my loaf recipe makes 2 full loaves or 1 full loaf and 3 small loaves or 6 small loaves. And so my intention was, I've got a lot of zucchini in my freezer. So my intention was I want to buy enough of these small pans to at least make a big full batch of nothing but small pans. And of course, I got a lot of big pans too. And I actually made so much frosting. I don't know what happened this time. Last time I made that carrot cake recipe, I had just enough frosting to frost 4 cakes. This time I had enough frosting to frost 8. And fortunately, once you mix up the frosting, you can put it in an airtight container, put it in the freezer, take it out before you need it, whip it back up after it thaws, and you can use it again. So I said, well, I don't know if I'm going to be making carrot cake anytime soon again, but I do have this spice cake recipe in my head that I want to play with. So that'll be on my agenda for things to play with. The zucchini bread, I've got the next one's going to be actually zucchini carrot bread because I didn't clean my food processor when I got done grinding carrots. I went right to grinding the zucchini, and there were some carrots in there. And I said, you know what? With all the carrots I ground up to make carrot cakes, I made 8 of them, and I still got carrots left. I went into all my zucchini and just threw a small handful of carrots in with the zucchini. I normally add pineapple to it too, and I probably will still because I like the flavor that it adds, and it keeps a lot of moisture in the bread. Takes a little longer to cook because you're adding fruit to it, but that's okay. But my mom and her caretaker both asked me if I could make a cinnamon raisin bread. And I looked up the recipes and I'm going, yeah, I can, but I'm not going to do it like those recipes. I don't know why people think that's a good idea. They roll out their dough after they've got everything mixed together and stuff. They roll it out, they let it rise, they roll it out again. They sprinkle their raisins on it and their cinnamon and whatnot, and then they roll it up, pinch the end so it stays rolled up, make their loaf of bread. But then when it's done baking, you take it out. That roll is all like parts and pieces and stuff. So when you put it into the toaster and it pops up, you get like an unrolling roll, and I don't like that. So I'm gonna try a different recipe for it. I don't know how it's gonna turn out, but when I told my mom, I said, well, I got boxes and boxes, those little travel boxes of raisins, kind you used to give your kid to take to school for lunch or whatever. I got a lot of boxes like that. And I thought, well, 2 boxes will make a loaf of bread. And so I emptied 2 boxes into I get these to-go containers from Temu. And I put enough rum just to cover the top of the raisins and let the rum soak in to plump up the raisins. Of course, naturally, once raisins are plumped up, you can't smell the rum. And once it's baked, you aren't going to taste it either. The alcohol will burn out. And I looked at that after been in the refrigerator for about a week, and I'm going, yeah, that's not going to be enough raisins. If I do this, I'm making 2 loaves. I want enough so I can have some too. So I added 2 more boxes of raisins, and I added the last little bit of rum I had, and I was like, I don't have any more rum. And I was like, all right, wait a minute. It's going to be cinnamon raisin bread. I do have Fireball in the cupboard. So I added about 3 shots of Fireball to that last shot of rum that I had for those other 2 boxes, and I mixed it all up. It's been in the refrigerator for almost a week now. You can smell the Fireball. I will say that. You can't smell the rum, but you can smell the Fireball. The cinnamon in that Fireball, that's going to stick with the raisin, I'm pretty sure. And I think it's just going to add a whole new flavor, a whole new layer. There's Troy. Late. You're not late. You're not late. You're only late if you wait till tomorrow and show up. Troy, if you want to join in, the link's at the top of chat. But yeah, so the cinnamon raisin bread, I'm gonna do my own on, and that'll be my own concoction when I do it. I'm not gonna do it like everybody else and roll it up. I don't like that idea at all. I think the raisins and cinnamon belong incorporated into bread and not on just one section of it. So that's gonna be my play around for that one. Let's see. Another thing I had exciting happen was Thursday. Right? Yeah, Thursday. No, Wednesday. I don't know. I think it was Thursday. Yeah, it was. It was Thursday. Thursday morning, I had a knock at my door, and it was a local tree company. And he says, yeah, we're going to be taking down your tree today. And I was like, oh, the big oak tree out front. And he's like, yeah. He says, I got to leave, go back down. We got a big thing, a meat plan going on down here where we got to all get together to figure out who's doing what all day today, but I will be the one cutting your tree down. So I went out and I talked to him about it. And I said, this is my thought of how I would like to have this tree. Because there's 2 really big straight sections of it. One of them from the ground up is probably 25, 30 feet tall. And then there was a crotch. And then above that crotch was another one that was about 15, 20 feet tall. A little smaller in diameter. And then we're going to go in and debranch all of it. And I told him anything you can't fit in your wood chipper, leave it in the yard. I'll cut it up. I'll use it for campfire wood or whatever. And when they got done, it took them 2 hours start to finish. But when they got done, they stopped at that top crotch of the tree. They never went to the bottom and cut it back off. And I was like, I got a 25-foot stump in my yard, 4 foot in diameter, but 25 feet tall. Well, another buddy of mine just moved back from Tennessee, and he's a tree guy. So he got a hold of me on Facebook and says, "Hey, you want me to come over and cut the bottom of that tree off?" And I was like, "Not right now, no." And he's like, "Well, I thought you wanted that out of your yard." And I said, "Well, I did. I was gonna actually give it to a local sawmill and trade it for wood because it's all red oak. It's a beautiful tree." But I came up with this other idea, which I really want to play with first. You guys ever see these guys that do the wood carvings? They like do eagles and wolves and bears and all that kind of stuff. Well, I was thinking, because I live in a very Republican area, and that tree is 4 foot in diameter and 25 feet tall, it would be really cool to get one of them wood carvers over here and see if he could just carve me a picture of Donald Trump. Or maybe like a really tall, big, beefy bear, or a standing, howling wolf, or just a really nice eagle, something in that line. I could cut the top of the tree off, bottom tree off, whatever needs to be done. But I'm thinking it would be like a really cool tribute to do that. And like I say, I live in a real Republican area, so I'm content with that. Actually, my area is so Republican. I was watching Langley Outdoors Academy. Braden Langley, the guy who runs the channel, him and I have been friends for a long time. And he shared a sign on there. Mind you, it's red on top, blue on bottom, white print. In the red section on top, it just says "Vote Republican." And then in the bottom section where it's blue, it says, "They may not be perfect, but the other side is insane." And I seen that sign. I took a picture of it off my screen. And then I went to Vistaprint and I said, "I want 4-yard signs printed on both sides." And I created the design and shared it with them. And they were like, "Okay." I said, "But I also want 50 business cards with that design on just one side." And they're like, "Okay." I said, "And I also want 2 baseball caps with that sign in the center of the cap. I want the caps to be white." And they were like, "Okay, anything else?" And I was like, "Yeah, the stands to put the signs on. I'm going to put one on each side of my yard." I can't help it. I actually had a sign out last year in my front yard that all it said was, "Trump is innocent." And people were driving by and honking their horns going, "Hell yeah, he is." That's all. I thought it was kind of funny. But I did order those signs right away. And another thing I got to say, if anybody's been following what happened in Bucksnort, Tennessee, with the Accurate Munitions plant, my heart goes out to those people in Tennessee. That explosion was so bad. There were people that lived 10 miles away who thought somebody drove their car into their house. It rocked their houses so bad. And from what I'm hearing, there's still like 18 or 19 people missing. They've done absolute zero ability of recovery for any survivors. And I feel bad for those people. I really feel bad for those people. Hey, we got Troy coming in to join us here. Let's bring him on. There you go, Troy. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good. How you, man?
I'm doing all right.
That's good. That's great. It's I look for Saturdays every week. Hopefully, it's a year on and where I can catch you when I can catch you.
All right.
Oh yeah, I got it.
I actually was talking to Gary Skuse, and I thought about trying to bring him on tonight.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid I don't want to get that discussion he wants to have with me shared. He has some things going on that he'd rather not have put out in public right away.
Well, I can understand that too.
Yep.
But, yeah.
All right. So another fun one that I've been doing a lot of lately, if anybody watches my channel, which everybody should be by now, is I have been playing around a lot with AI song generation. And what I do is I come up with the idea of a song and I put it into an AI songwriter. And I'll read over it. and I'll make all the necessary changes that I believe I need to make. I don't make all of them right up front, but I do all of them that I believe I need to make so it would sound right. And then I put it into the music generator and have it put it to music with the voices of the singing and trying to get out everything to sound right or whatnot.
Yeah.
People don't understand how long it takes to put one song together.
Right. Well, I tell you, you done one for me, and I'm going to use it because it is because it's well for that right. Well, I can't my finger for that right back.
Right there you go. Stop.
Right there.
Now that's his. For those that don't know, that's his diorama.
Right, and it's a diorama of YouTube friends, and which there's little 2.5 inch tall figures of people that are YouTube friends and that I've met over the years, and each one of them is individually molded and turned into a figure, but
Hopefully
unfortunately, it's about half too small for now.
Well, hopefully he doesn't have Greg leaning on my shoulder like he was when we were in Arkansas, because my poor guy will shrink right down to where he's down sitting on his knees.
Well, you and me both. I had to use my cane to hold that big ass shoulder up. And now it's it'll never be done. Keep adding folks to it, and
well, I'll tell you, I had a friend who was big into building scale size train cities and whatnot.
Yeah.
And he started out with just one sheet of plywood. The last time I visited with him, and this was years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
You ever go to the Choo Choo Barn in Pennsylvania?
I haven't, but I've went to places. I've looked places like that on YouTube and stuff to try to get some ideas for that.
Yeah, well, the Choo Choo Barn in Pennsylvania actually is like a bunch. It started out with just a bunch of railroad tracks going through small towns and stuff like that, and they'd go in and dump a bed of coal or whatever.
Right.
Well, now it's a whole town. It has buildings all over it. It has a working fire department. This is cool as crap. Everything's done with lights, but it has a working fire department where a house will catch on fire. The fire truck will pull up in front of the house, and they'll use mechanics to bring the light stream up, and then turn the lights on to make it look like water is flowing in the house, and then they'll slowly dim the lights on the fire in the house, and then they'll shut the lights to the fire truck off, and of course they dim once you turn the power off and start bringing them back down again.
Yeah.
So it looks like you shut the water off and it's running back to the truck, and then the fire truck will go around the block and back into the fire department. It's cool as crap.
That is really cool.
It is. But my buddy started out with one sheet of plywood and one train set, and he started building this little town. And then he went to the Choo Choo Barn, and he got back home, and he told his wife, he says, "All right, I'm going to need to take over the dining room." And she's like, "Why?" And he says, "Well, I need 2 more sheets of plywood." And he literally built it all in his dining room, like totally removed the whole dining room table and everything. Built it in the dining room, and then he started doing things like adding the houses with the lights inside of them and doing this and doing that. And it got to be quite the thing. And when they moved, she told him, she says, "I want a dining room." And he said, "That's fine. I want the basement."
I completely understand.
I haven't been back.
I can see it happening.
They split up, but so I haven't been back since. But I can almost guarantee you, his basement is about as big as and looks like the Choo Choo Barn in Pennsylvania. Right. It was cool. It was cool.
Give me a second. Let me answer the phone and also direct him. Try to get him into your live.
All right, you got it.
Not coming up on the live, but tell him where to go.
All right. All right, so yeah, when I do these AI song generations and stuff, the first thing I do is have it create the words. I tell it what I want a song to be, and it generates the words. And then I'll read the words, and I'll be like, okay, well, I need to change this. it doesn't say what I need it to say, so I'll change it, and then I'll try to make it rhyme, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, I've done a lot of songwriting in my days, so for me it's easy, and words don't have to sound exactly the same to actually mean the same thing and be able to semi rhyme. But then after I do that, then I put it to the music, and I pick what voices I want it to be or whatever. If I just write it and I just say, okay, you do whatever you want to do with it, and you put it out, it'll be a rock and roll song every time. And I don't want rock and roll songs. I've done some and they're pretty cool, but I'm more of the country boy bluegrass, you know. So I changed the music, the style, the mood, the whole 9 yards. And then I'll go in and I'll change the voices and stuff and tell it how I want the voices to play out. You know, like something can be like really exciting. Well, if it's really exciting, you don't want somebody, you know, over here droning a Jim Reeves song. So I try to play with all that until it gets right to that perfect point. I had one the other day. I did 15 different versions of it before I got one that I actually kept. And it was like, okay, now that one's good. I actually share them on my channel. So like I say, you guys all should be watching my channel to see them. Hi, Ace, how you doing? I know you follow my channel. You've commented on a couple of them. But again, it was your first time listening to country in years, girl. There's a lot of country songs on my channel. Actually, Troy's got one that's got a little bit of country, a little bit of bluegrass.
Okay, I think I'm back.
Yep, there you go. I was waiting for the lips to move to say yep.
That's my overroad trucker friends of mine. They actually came here last week and stopped by for about 3 days. And he called. He's wanting the recipe for my green bean casserole.
All right.
So
mine's easy: green beans, cream of mushroom soup, and I like using the crisped onion.
That's what I use: the green beans, cream of mushroom, cream of mushroom, French cut green beans, a jar of the sliced mushrooms,
Right.
and really that's basically really all it is to a green bean casserole.
Yep. I like buying those cans of crisped onions. You know, break them suckers up really small, sprinkle that across the top, and add just that little bit of crispiness to the top.
Yeah, I've got 3 gallons of those that I use them so much of the crisp onions and stuff. So.
Hi, Lauren and Joe. How you doing?
Hey, how y'all? Oh, I see Ace is in here too.
Yeah,
hey, Lauren and Joe. Love y'all.
Ace came on while you were talking on the phone.
No. Oh, Ace. I got my mug today that she won on Jesse and Lisa's at Lazy Days Ahead, and she gifted it to me, and it came in the mail today. So, but I will be sending you a picture of it. Thanks, Ace. My asshole sister.
My brother just gave me a new beer cozy here last week. It says Savannah Bananas.
Yeah.
It's something to do with some kind of team or whatever.
They are a baseball team. I forget where they're at, but I know.
Savannah, Georgia, I believe.
I think so, but I'm not sure. But I have seen clips of them.
I told him, I says, that's the only koozie I've ever had where I can drop the can down in, finish the can, pull the can right back out. All my other ones, like this one I normally use, you try to pull the can back out, you got to really fight to get the can out.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a good koozie. It's getting worn out. And then we seen that. He was like, oh, I got a new one for you. I was like, all right, great. So I had the other one that I was carrying around that was a real fight to get the can in and a bigger fight to get it back out. And he gave me that. And I was like, bro, can I get another one of them? And he says, yeah, just go to their website and order a t-shirt.
Yeah.
I'm not paying $35 for a team shirt for somebody I don't even know nothing about.
Right. Exactly.
Although I do play with a lot of stuff like that. I got one on my fridge. Hold on, I'll be grab it real quick.
All right.
All right. I don't know who anybody here probably pays attention to, like, oh my God, what the heck is his name now? McFarlane Racing. He's got a YouTube channel. He's got over 3 million followers.
Yeah, yeah,
He's
uh,
he's a friend of David Heavy D Sparks.
yeah. He actually he got in trouble because during all them floods during a year ago down in North Carolina,
All right.
he took his personal helicopter, flew in there, and they almost arrested him
Yeah,
for
Dave got in trouble.
questioning people.
Dave got in trouble for that too. He
Yeah,
went in with his Black Hawk,
yeah, yes, he did. Yeah,
Dave Sparks. Well, anyway, he's got some kind of a contest going on. I'll be darned if I can remember what it was. I think it was a camper and a truck and $5,000 or something like that. If I remember right, my memory's not really that great. But you have to buy something off of his website, and for every $5 you spend, you get another entry to try to win it.
right.
And it was like a brand new Ford F-250 Super Duty truck with a really nice camper, or maybe no, it wasn't a camper. It was a car on a trailer. It was a car on a
Right.
trailer. So a really nice old redone car on a brand new aluminum car hauler trailer with the Ford F-250 Super Duty.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh man, I don't care about the car, although I would like to have it. I really want the trailer, and I'd love to have the truck. So I had to buy something. So I bought this sticker.
I needed several of those.
Yeah, I seen that, and I was like, okay, well, I don't want your hat, and I don't want a shirt, and I'm not really a racing fan of yours, so I don't want anything racing related. And when I seen that sticker, I think it was like $20. I said, well, hey, I mean, I don't even like I say, I would be happy to end up with just the brand new truck.
Right. Yeah.
Mine's still in the shop waiting to get the new motor put in. So
Yeah.
give me a truck that runs, and I'll take it.
Yeah. But he does those giveaways a lot. I think he actually was one of the first people that I've seen that actually started doing giveaways for vehicles.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Dave Sparks has been doing it for quite a while now,
Yeah.
and the thing with Dave was he said something on one of his one day, and it was on a live stream because I was talking to him live on it. He said, if you don't like what we're giving away, we will let you pick out any other vehicle in the lot behind me right now. And just as he said that, some guy pulled in with a brand new Ford Super Duty 350 diesel. And I was like, Dave, don't mean to interrupt you, but I want that truck that just pulled in behind you. Screw that little one you're giving away. And he turned around, he looked at that truck, come back over, got out of camera, and he's like, Mr. Moffat, I don't think I can get him to sell it. He just got that today.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a sweet truck. I like that one.
Yeah.
I really don't care what I get for a truck as long as it's running.
Yeah.
I've got so much money invested in mine, and to have it just still sitting in the shop and can't even go camping.
Oh yeah, I know. But
I went over to his place here at the beginning of this last week here. I think it was Monday or Tuesday. And I told him, I said, I'm just curious, I says, I know a lot of shops when they get working on vehicles and stuff, they wear the heavy duty rubber gloves.
right.
For whatever reasons. And I says, do you do that? And he says, yeah, I do from time to time. If you're working in transmission fluid or something like that, you don't want to be just like change the tranny fluid, put everything back together, and then have to grab your scanner and go do an inspection on somebody's car. For jobs like that, I'd put rubber gloves on all the time. And I said, good. When I bought them by the case, not just a box, but by the case of boxes. I think there's 12 boxes to a case. I don't know how many gloves to a box. But these rubber gloves are heavy duty rubber gloves. Yeah. I bought them for a guy that was working for me at the time because he was working in the wood shop and he didn't want to get stain all over his hands. Oh, that's a good excuse. So I bought them. And at the time, it just happened to be that the price by the case was the right price to pay. I got them through Bach Apothecary, which I get a lot of stuff from. And so they said, well, we got these cases of gloves on sale. And I was like, okay, well, I need a case of large black.
Yeah.
I didn't know how good they were until I did my ribs yesterday morning. I used them. I put them on my hands yesterday morning to, rub onto the ribs and be able to handle them while they were raw. And they're so heavy duty. I could just go under the sink, wash them off, go to a towel, dry them off.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, these gloves are impressive as heck. So I decided I'm not giving them all away. I'm going to keep 2 boxes. I'm going to keep 2 boxes because I do have I have a lot of work going on here that wearing the gloves. I don't like getting my hands greasy.
Yeah.
But working in the wood shop, I don't have my hands all covered in stains and stuff either.
Yeah. What's it? I cannot work in gloves and stuff. And but the only time I do is like working with stains and stuff like that. And rather than do it barehanded and now you got to wear off the stain for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And,
yeah. Or you get into doing stuff with what's that one? Kills primer.
Yeah.
It's not water based. You have to use mineral spirits to wash it off.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'll tell you, once you go to wash that off your hands with mineral spirits, you better have some hand lotion available.
Oh yeah.
That stuff will dry you right out so bad. I had bleeding knuckles from washing my hands in that stuff one time.
Yeah.
But I've got mineral spirits, when I paid
I got all that too. Of course, I still need to get it out of the storage. I'll probably have to hire somebody to do it. I found a guy yesterday that I've been hiring to do some little odds and ends things around here. So I'll probably see if I can get him to move things down here from Bluefield. But I got a full woodworking cabinet shop.
Yeah.
And all the equipment, everything's in storage. And I got you've seen the garage.
All right.
And it's a perfect place for that.
I had a buddy of mine out Friday and celebrating my birthday and picking up one of these DeWalt wannabe batteries from me, a couple of them. And he was like, so what are you going to do with your shop? He says, I heard something about you wanted to build it behind the one you got now, but you couldn't get anybody to bring in fill. And I says, yeah. He says, well, you can get Cincinnati's to bring in the fill. I said, yeah, I can. That's not an issue. My local town, they'll bring me fill all day long. But if I don't have the equipment here to move that fill to make it be what I need it to be, then it's worthless having it brought in.
Right.
I mean, the area, I'll give you guys a good area of what I'm looking at here. I'm going to show you a picture from 1966. So it's really super blurry.
Mm-hmm.
But this building right here, that's an old barn. This is my current garage.
Okay.
With an extra bay added onto the end of it. And this is the old barn. Our property line is right on the edge of that barn right there.
Okay. Yep.
Now I'll bring it closer up to date. This one, you probably can't see it real well, but see where that black line is right there?
Yeah.
The back side of that black line right there was the front wall of that old barn going down.
Okay. That's cool.
So I was going to level it out from the back of my garage here all the way out to maybe about the top of that old barn foundation.
Right.
And then get it all, perfectly leveled and everything else. And then I'll have my new shop put back there.
Yep.
But because I can't get anybody with equipment in here to work on it, I've totally changed my whole plan. All right. My new plan. This is an older picture, but that area right there.
Yeah. You kind of froze for a second. Oh, yeah. Now you're there.
I'm not sure what that area is.
Yeah.
But I've got our seed house in that area right now, and I've got 2 more bunks of wood behind it. So my thinking is there's room to drive a vehicle all the way down the front of the garage to the back, and that's why I was shooting for this area back here.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to just go from the edge of that bunk of wood up over top of the barn and then come over here on the side where my camper is parked.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like 2 times wider than it is now and quite a bit taller. So I got loft space. So I got storage areas up above. So I'm not storing everything on the floor I'm standing on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my new thought. Go on with scissor rafters and go right over leave the whole garage right there for now.
Yep.
Pour part of the new floor in, take everything out of the garage I want to keep, and then
Mhm.
just have them come in with an excavator and rip that barn out, throw it in some roll-off dumpsters, get it out of here, and then go in and finish the floor and close the front of the garage off after that's done.
Yep. That sounds like a
That's my
plan.
thinking. Yeah, it's a big plan, but
Well, you got to start somewhere. Actually, I started a couple months ago, actually starting to build my credit up because my credit score was 0. And
that's what my girlfriend's was when we bought the house in 1999 or 2019, and her credit score right now is damn near perfect.
well, now my credit score is 6, I think 680, and uh, as Drake came looked things up, and these hopefully next year, if I keep things going the way they are, my credit score should be about 800. Hopefully, that's what I'm shooting for.
All right,
And next fall, actually buy me a place.
I got a question for you. Do you pay any medical bills out of pocket?
Nope.
No. Any utility bills out of pocket?
Yep. All I have is rent and utilities. And
All right, well,
now
your
the
utilities.
thing, utilities and rent actually counts, that goes towards your credit score too.
Yep, yep. And so does doctor bills. That's where my girlfriend was able to get her
Yeah.
credit score for us to be able to buy this house.
Yeah.
Because she had a 0 credit score.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, that's bullcrap. First of all, she's been working the same place for a long time. She makes good money. She pays this. She pays this. Those bills may be in my name, but she's the one that's paying them and all that stuff.
Right.
And they were like, okay, all right, all right. And at that time, I think her credit score was about 700.
Right.
And then I got her to hook up with Capital One.
Yeah.
And I told her, I says, get the card from Capital One. Don't be a fool with it. You go to
Right.
Walmart or whatever and just buy something you want. And then don't pay it off the first month. Pay quite a bit of it off, but don't pay the whole thing off.
Right.
And then the next month pay it off. And then when you feel comfortable, go buy something else you want. Because what that does, if you have a credit card and you go out and you spend, close to the credit limit, especially, will screw you up so bad it's not funny.
Yeah.
But if they give you, like, say, $500 and you go out and you spend 60,
yeah.
And then instead of paying that whole 60 back before the end of the month, when your term is up, before they get any interest, you want to make it so they can collect a little bit of interest. Because if you pay it all off, the bank's going to sit there going, well, if that's the case, you could have waited a month to buy that. You don't need us.
Right. They're looking for a history of you paying something. I've never in my life, I've never had a credit card. I've never had a loan. I've never done anything, which is why it was 0. And I'm doing the exact same thing of what you're saying right now.
I've had credit all my life. Actually, I actually had credit at a music store when I was, I think, 9 years old.
Yeah.
I could walk in and Al Fossil, the guy that owned it, I could walk into his music store and say, Al, I want this.
Right.
He'd give me a piece of paper to sign. I'd sign it, and I'd take my allowance every week down to his store and give it to him.
Right.
And it got to the point where he was actually calling me to go with him on repo jobs to go get equipment other people had gotten from him that weren't making the payments. Especially bands. Oh, if a band was owing him money and they were playing out somewhere, he'd find out where they're playing, what time they're playing. He'd load all of us guys up. I was the driver of the station wagon. And we'd just all load up and we'd go to that location. And while the band was on break, we'd empty the stage.
Right.
Everything that Elf also owned on that stage was put in the back of that station wagon and brought back to his store that night.
Yeah.
And when the bands would complain, he'd say, well, you were making money, but you weren't giving me any. You weren't giving me any. So there you go.
Yeah.
And it also got to the point when I was going down there, because I was at Fossil Music almost every day growing up.
Right.
It came to a lot of times where people would go in and they would drop their whole paycheck to buy like a new guitar amp.
Yeah.
And then before the end of the month is up, they'd be going back in going, I need to sell this back to you because I can't pay my rent. And Al finally got to the point where he was like, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore.
Right.
And I walked up. There was one guy in particular. I walked up and I said, wait a minute. How much did you pay for this? And he said, $600. How much is your rent? Well, I'm $300 shy. I'll make a deal with you. You carry that amp out of your vehicle, put it in the back of mine. I'm going to give you my phone number and my address. I'm going to have you sign the bottom of a piece of paper stating that you owe me $400.
Right.
You've got 30 days. You got 30 days to pay it back. If I don't get $400 in 30 days, I may give you another 30, but then it becomes the full 600 again.
Right.
Other than that, it becomes mine. You can make your mind up at that point. And I ended up owning a lot of equipment from people that way, and actually gained quite a few good friends that way in response, because if you can't pay your rent, that guitar amp isn't going to do you a damn bit of good.
Exactly.
You don't have room.
That's kind of like how we used to make money. Well, back when I was in the service and stuff, and the Navy especially, because we been out to sea for a long time and everything. Then we finally hit a port, and everybody's always needing money.
Yep.
But I always kept cash on me at all times. So they would borrow $5 from me or $10, what it is. Well, just go. It was usually $50 at a time. They borrowed $50. They had to pay me back 75.
Yep. By the end of the month.
And I made a lot of money, and that's how I kept money all through there, because
I used to do that at my old job. There was one guy in particular who was always hurting for money.
Yep.
And so I'd loan him $20. When you get paid again, now you owe me 30. That's a 2-week period. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we used to call it 20 for 25.
Yep. Well, I did that. I did that with my coworkers and stuff. I'll loan you 20, but when you get paid this next time, you owe me 30.
Right.
And it's a 2-week pay periods. And I always carried a couple $100 in my wallet, because I never knew how much they were going to want to borrow, what they were going to need to pour or whatever. And there was a couple guys that were like, "Man, I am $200 shy of my rent, man. I'll give you $300 next week if I can borrow $200 today." Okay.
Yep.
Here's your piece of paper. Sign it. Here's your $200. See you on payday. I know where you live and I know where you work.
Exactly.
And then in the military, I know where you work and where you live, because we're in the same barracks.
And especially if you're on a ship and you don't pay that back, there's no place to run.
The only guy that I had when I was at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, I loaned him money. I loaned him quite a bit of money. I think it was like $600. He's the only one I never got back.
Right.
He went.
You said Fort Jackson. Nope. My old captain that I was in South Carolina, or when I was in Iraq with the West Virginia National Guard, he is now the commanding officer over Fort Jackson.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
I've thought several times about go down there and just walk in his office just to cuss him out in front of everybody else. But he was a good guy. He was actually my co-driver in a deuce and a half going through there, and we were the last vehicle in the convoy. And something happened. I think the fuel filter started getting a little clogged or something. So it started lagging back. And the rest of the convoy took off and left us.
Right.
Because we didn't have communication and everything back in 2003, 2004.
Right.
Radio. Right. Yeah. We were.
Hey!
Yeah, pretty much. But we got way back, miles back. And we went across this one bridge. And I don't remember where it was at, but it was known as RPG Alley, crossing that bridge, because you're in the wide open. Okay. And as we got up to it, this civilian in a little Toyota truck started slowing down as we got to the bridge. And he's like, "Oh crap, what are we gonna do?" I said, this ain't gonna happen. So I rear-ended him, knocked him off the side of the bridge. and kept on going. And we had a empty Connex box on the back of the truck, little probably a 10-footer, 10 or 20-footer, and it was strapped to the bed.
All right.
The strap came loose to the extra tail, and it wrapped around the back tire.
Oops.
So whenever it caught, all it was a big boom, and the truck back in the truck raised up off the ground. And I remember I looked at him, he looked at me, and it was like slow motion, and both of us was pale white.
RPG.
It was like, oh, we're done. And there's nobody around. We're by ourselves.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was.
I was just laughing the other day because Trump deployed the Texas National Guard to Illinois.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the news reporters took one picture of about 40 troops.
Yes, they did.
Of the most fattest guys that got off the back of the truck. And there was this guy on YouTube. I don't remember what his name is. Headshot or something like that.
Yeah.
He put out one with that picture with a caption on it, said "Meal Team 6."
I seen that. Yeah, but
I had to watch it.
Yeah, well, the same reporters that was reporting that big thing, they were the same people a week earlier who was busting. Was it Pete Hegseth, the guy over for coming out and saying we need to get our troops back in shape. And they were bashing that. Oh no, but yet they're the ones who put out that picture of the Texas National Guard,
right,
coming out of the truck.
Yeah, and there was like 40 deployed at that one time.
Yeah,
and there were so many other pictures showing everybody fit and in shape and everything. But they got that one picture of these 5 guys off the back of the truck, and I laughed about it because when he put that up, Meal Team 6.
Yeah,
I was like, okay,
I
gotta watch this one.
Yeah, there's a couple guys I watched too. One of them, Sergeant. Oh, I'll definitely have to mail you the 2 channels. But then the other one is the Angry Electrician.
Oh yeah. The fat electrician and angry cop.
Fat electrician.
I was just gonna.
And then the other one is the cop.
The unsubscribed podcast.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm waiting to see what they put out. That's going to be great.
Oh, Angry Cop already did one yesterday.
That's what Angry Cop. Yeah. I got to get back and look and see what he did, because I know it's going to be outstanding.
Oh, I'm telling you, I like the way he describes things, because he's just so fanatical on it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I watched it yesterday, and it was really cool. I enjoyed it.
And the thing about it is, I think he's still a cop.
Yeah, he is.
And he's also in the National Guard.
Yeah, there's him as a cop. And then there's the fat electrician. And then there's the other one that sits at the end of the table. He was a cop, but he's not a cop anymore.
Yeah.
Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan.
And then you got the other guy that kind of leads the podcast, who just sits back and he's like, I understand everything you guys are saying, because he was military.
Yeah. Well, they all were military.
But the one that always sits at the end, the guy that's like the main host of the show.
Yeah.
He's just like, I know exactly what you guys are talking about. They got into one conversation one night, and he kept turning his head going, looking at the camera going, can somebody please explain this? Can somebody please explain this? And it was live. And I went in and I says, yeah, command inspection.
Yeah.
It had something to do with headshots, but it was actually going to start going.
All right.
Troop to troop to check out, what's going on. If you say you're active and ready, are you really active and ready?
Yeah.
When I was in the Army, that was my job. If you say you're active and ready, and I'm doing payroll for your unit and half of your people aren't there, you're not active and ready.
Nuh-uh. Well, we've had that conversation, so we know what that's about.
Yeah.
But it's like my ex's her oldest son. He was like 21 years old, naive as can be, and he's like, "Oh, you should get you a Hummer. That's one of the best vehicles ever put out." I was like,
No, it ain't.
"No." And I went on to their podcast that they did where they were talking about the Humvee and mentioned like at 50 miles an hour in the Humvee is like entering the Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah.
And,
I actually one of my old coworkers went out and bought one because he was told how great they are. Because he hunts, out in the backlands of his property and stuff, where he's got like a big pond for duck hunting and all that stuff.
yeah,
He had a small maple tree stump that was only about 10 inches tall on the bottom of his Humvee, and he had to call his brother up to bring him back his 4-wheel drive truck to get him off the freaking stump because his wheels were rocking off the 10-inch stump.
Yep.
And I was like, that's not a good vehicle.
Yep. Me and
my truck would clear a 10-inch stump.
Yeah, me and that boy, we used to get in so much arguments and stuff. He goes, "Well, it's military grade." I said, "Well, look, so you're talking about something that is made by the lowest bidder,
Yep.
the cheapest that anything could be made."
Well, wasn't the Humvee originally made by like Dodge?
No.
Or no, Jeep.
No.
Oh, Dodge is Jeep.
Right. No. It's always been not an AM General because AM General made the Hemmets and stuff.
American Motors.
No. See, the Humvee came out in the early 70s, and it was designed to be used in the European theater.
Yeah, but as a transporter or something like that, right?
It took the place of the Jeep.
All right.
And actually, the people that actually originally designed the Jeep was Nash.
Right. Yep.
And then before World War II, and then it went to actually the government took the plans from Nash, and basically went belly up because of that. And
well, there was another company that put out Jeep very, very shortly after Nash had it.
Ford.
I forget which one it was.
Ford came out with one.
You can still find them, but they're like really, really old. Yeah. And most of the ones you find are used off road with a snowplow on the front because they're not roadworthy anymore.
Right.
And then the government took it and it went somewhere else. I can't remember the name of them, but they were like a really bad spinoff of the original Jeep.
Well, whenever they took the Nash's blueprints and everything, and then the government actually subbed it out to Dodge, Ford. See who else was it?
They're nothing like they used to be.
Yeah, there was like four different companies that they put them out to, and
I know I drove one of the original military Jeeps that was made for mail.
Yeah,
you're driving on the wrong side of the vehicle and all that happy crap.
Yeah,
I drove one of them at Fort Jackson.
Right.
And then I also drove one. Actually, I drove the only one they ever had at Fort Leonard, Missouri. Because
Fort Lost in the Woods.
Fort Lost in the Woods, man. They had that Jeep there for years and years, and nobody would drive it because they weren't used to driving on the wrong side of the road, or driving up to the edge of a mailbox.
Right.
Most of the mailmen at that point, they had their steering wheel on their left hand, their foot and their brake was run by their left foot, and the right hand was just to put the mail into the box.
That's how they do it here.
That a lot of places do.
Yeah.
I at Fort Leonard, Missouri, I was actually able to take that old Jeep and put it back to use. But if you're not dropping off mail at the barracks, you had to drive on the wrong side of the road per se because of where you were sitting in the vehicle.
Right. Yeah.
And nobody wanted to drive it because the middle of your vehicle is over here. And I used to tell them the same thing. Well, if you're driving on the left-hand side of the car, you don't want your right-hand side of the car down in the ditch, do you? No. Well, then it's no different if you're driving on the right-hand side of the vehicle. You don't want your left hand going over across the line. It really is no different.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember, but it's really no different.
No, and once you get used to it, it's not a problem.
Well, because I did it at Fort Jackson, I was able to do it at Fort Leonard with no problem at all.
Yeah.
You know, but I was like the only person there for probably 10 years that ever drove that Jeep.
Yeah.
Motor pool had to maintain it, but nobody would drive it.
Yeah.
I used it. I used it as a mail Jeep, only to go barracks to barracks to barracks to drop off the mail to the commanders,
Right.
because they were deployed at the time that I was there.
Yeah.
We were headquarters and headquarters command. We'd take over the whole post, and
Right.
I was volunteered for postal service at that time because they didn't have anybody else there that could do it in my unit. I told them, I says, I don't mind dropping off mail. It's pretty easy. As long as you tell me where I'm going with it, I'll take it.
Yeah. Well, it's like that guy, the buddy of mine that I was in Iraq with, who's over Fort Jackson now, and which Fort Jackson is an active duty Army base.
Mm-hmm. It's also training.
You're right. And since we went,
They have basic
stuff like that.
They have basic and AIT there for administrative specialists.
Yep.
For the AIT, basic for everybody, but AIT was administrative specialists, and
there's a couple there too.
I believe they had an MP force there too.
Yeah,
I believe.
But he's
Fort Dix was the main MP.
Yeah.
MP.
He's actually National Guard, West Virginia National Guard.
Okay.
Which we were actually attached to the North Carolina National Guard, and the South Carolina National Guard is also attached to the North Carolina National Guard. So we go there for training too.
All right.
But since he outranked anybody that was on that base, they made him the base commander from West Virginia National Guard, because it is a training base.
See, when I was there, I was in what was called New Hollywood. Brand new barracks, never lived in by anybody, just built.
Yeah.
And when they did our first command inspection, I wasn't the platoon sergeant, but I was one of the main squad leaders for all the cleaning areas inside of it or whatever.
Yep.
The commander came in and he was like, "Who's in charge of the stairs?" Well, that'd be Mr. Moffat. At that time, I was an E2. I mean, I went into basic training as an E2, which blew everybody away. They thought I was a specialist undercover.
Yeah.
Because my brother was an MP, so I had a whole lot of insights on what to pay attention to, you know. And so he called me in, and he's like, "I'm gonna be honest with you, Mr. Moffat." He says, we just did to walk up these stairs. I didn't even see a footprint on the tread. And I looked at him, I started laughing. I says, "Yeah, but yours is there now, sir." He's like, "What?" And I says, "People weren't allowed to wear their boots up the stairs."
Yeah.
When we finished polishing them stairs in the morning, you took your boots off to go up and down, or you walked off the tread.
Right.
And then when he went into the bathroom, everything in the bathroom was spot on. And he came back out and he said, "Who's in charge of the bathroom?" "Well, that's Mr. Moffat again." And he's like, "Mr. Moffat, come here a minute." So I went over and he's like, "How do you do that?" And I says, "Everybody has to finish taking showers by 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
At 7 o'clock, the bathroom's closed. From 7 o'clock on, if they have to go pee or anything else, they have to take their boots off at the door." And he's like, "Are you joking?" And I says, "No, I'm very serious, sir. I'm very serious. Our hallways were spotless. Our stairways were spotless. Our bathrooms were spotless. Most of the people that were in my barracks wouldn't even wear their boots on their own room floor."
Right.
Because those were being polished by people too.
Right.
You know?
And,
it's pretty much, you mentioned the outdoors, you take your shoes off, you carry one in each hand, and you go back up to your barracks and do whatever you got to do, put your boots on the way back out.
Yeah.
He told me, he says, "These barracks are in better shape now than they were the day that we inspected them after the construction crew left."
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah. We did one time, well, back when I was in the Navy, and that was during the 90s and stuff like that. And we actually done a lot of times places we'd go, or even we was out to sea one time, and we done like a we call it cross decking, and this a Russian destroyer came up beside of us, which a lot of people say, "Oh no, the U.S. would never do that." But we done a cross decking with the Russian Navy, where some of our guys would go over there, and some of their guys would come over to our ship and stuff like that.
Just check
And
out what's going on.
yeah, and actually, and because I drove, the small boats, so I was going over and getting them and swapping the people back and forth.
Right.
And I remember went over and brought the commanding officer of the Russian ship over and brought him up onto our ship. And when he walked on there, his eyes was that big around because everything's spotless. The copper piping are all polished and stuff. And because that's
everybody's boots got to shine.
well, because you're out there. If there's nothing to do, you're cleaning.
Yep.
And or on watch or going to another job. It's like working in a factory.
Yeah.
What a ship is like.
Well, I used to tell people if you got time to lean, you got time to clean.
Yeah, I was saying
we had a big fenced in area that had bleachers, and it was like an area where if you smoked, you could go out there and smoke. If you didn't smoke, you go out there and hang out. If you didn't care about smoking, it didn't matter. Right. And some of the commanders would actually come over into our smoking area and smoke with us.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute they'd flick their cigarette butt, I'd just point to somebody and point over to that cigarette butt. They'd jump off the bench, run over, pick a cigarette butt back up, and take it over and put it in the can.
Yeah.
And he's like, holy crap. And I was like, yeah, nobody's allowed to throw their butts on the floor here, sir. Yeah. And he's like, are you telling me that I did wrong? And I says, no, you can do whatever the hell you want. I've got people watching me, watching you. So it doesn't matter. If you want to flick your cigarette butt anywhere in the yard, you can do it. I'll have somebody out there to pick it up because they'll be watching you as much as they're watching me. I'll just point to them and point to your butt and they'll go pick it up. Right. He's like, how do you get these guys to pay so well of attention to you? And I says, it's easy. I never tell anybody they have to do something. I ask them if they would.
Yeah, exactly. I would do that. That's how I was. It was I
would never ask anybody to do anything I wouldn't do myself.
Yeah. Actually, I got rode up when I went from an LST, which is a tank landing ship, which had 175 Navy guys and 300 Marine Force Recon on board with all our equipment and everything. So we all knew everybody.
All right.
And I still have good friends of mine today that we call and check on each other that was in the Marines on that ship. And of course that was back there in Somalia and Bosnia. So 90s was not a good time to be in any military branch. Well,
no. Well, it was for me. It was for me. I was headquarters command. I was guaranteed stayed stateside.
Yeah.
And we just whoever got shipped out, we'd go to their base and take over their base while they're gone.
Right.
Make sure everybody's there everybody that's there is getting paid to be there.
Yeah.
And things are being maintained while they're gone.
Yeah. Well, you know how everybody was getting shipped everywhere because there's so many things going all over the world, and we were right in the heart of it.
See, I didn't have to worry about that. Yeah. Actually, when I was about probably 3 months from my EOS, they were just getting ready to start Operation Desert Freedom.
Yeah, I was part of that.
I was called in on radio, our public radio, said anybody that belongs to HHC 3rd Brigade 98th Division in Ithaca, New York, report to your station within 24 hours.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I already had all my uniforms there, my guns were there, everything was locked up in storage. So I told my girlfriend at the time, my son's mother actually, I told her, I says, we're going to Ithaca. And she's like, what? I says, I got to go to Ithaca right now. And she's like, why? I says, I got to go check in.
Yeah.
And because they didn't have my new address, they didn't have my new phone number, they didn't have nothing. And I'd only been in inactive ready reserve for I think 2 months by then.
Right.
And I still had like another 4 years of inactive ready reserve to go.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I got to go. And I went in, And I gave him my phone number, my address, and everything like that. And my company commander came out. He looked at me and he says, Moffett. And I said, hey, sir, how you doing? He says, I'm doing good. He says, hey, come into my office for a minute. So I went in, and he's like, we're not letting you go anywhere. And I was like, what? And he says, we're not letting you go anywhere. It doesn't matter where you think you're going or where you think you want to be. You're not going anywhere.
Right.
Your EOS is so close that we're not letting you go. And I was like, okay, so what if I go and I want to re-up right now and I want to go to like Kentucky and I want to go to postal school? Can I go do that? No.
Oh.
We don't have the need for postal and headquarters command unless we're on somebody else's base. So they won't let you retrain and get a different MOS. And I was like, damn, okay, well great, I'm gonna get out then.
Yeah.
Because if you go to postal school, when you get out of postal school, no matter what you got going on, you can be the postmaster of any post office in the United States of America.
Right.
Automatically. And I was like, well, that would be a cool job to get. Because that adds into your retirement. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it would. And actually, if even if anybody from military, it's you're front of the line for hires on the postal service.
Right.
But it might be mail carrier or sorter or something like that. What if you could have done that? That was postmaster.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's what I wanted to go and do. I said, well, let me change my MOS, re-enlist, go to Kentucky and do it. No, we're not going to let you do that because you're attached to HHC. And because our HHC unit doesn't have a postal need, we can't let you change your MOS to go do that. And I said, well, then let me change my MOS and my location.
Right.
And they said, no, we can't let you do that either. I think it was Fort Hood, Kentucky.
Yeah.
I think that was the postal school. And they wouldn't let me do it. And I'm like, all right, well, great. Then I'm getting out. I'm done. You know?
Yeah. Well, see, I learned early in my career because, in the Navy at the time. Okay. But you could, I was a E3 looking for E4.
Yep. That's where I was at when I got out.
Right. And and between E3, to be E4, you had to have a certain job that is your MOS.
Right.
Up to that point, you were just called. I forget what it was called. You could strike over into anywhere you wanted, and but we'd be down in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, during our emergency training. What's it called? General quarters training.
All right.
And me just being a nobody, we would get stuck down decks below in the ship at a fire party, and no air conditioning, no ventilation, no nothing, and just sitting down there miserable until they pull up some drill that we have to go train on. But yet the gunner's mates, they were up on top deck of the ship, manning the gun mounts and stuff like that. And I was like, huh. And I figured out real quick, let me go talk to gunner's mates. And I convinced them that I wanted to strike over and become a gunner's mate. So they immediately took me out of there and started going through all the courses, books and everything, and put me on a gun mount on the deck of the ship. So while everybody's down below being miserable, now I was on a 50 caliber machine gun out of sight from where everybody else. So I'd have a cooler sitting there with drinks and snacks and stuff sitting there with the breeze blowing and stuff. I said, wow, that's great. And I did the same thing whenever I went, because in the Navy and Marines, you have to do 90 days consistent of mess duty in the galley. So when I was doing that, I convinced them that I wanted to be a cook. So they started me going through the course books and everything. And So I went from working back in the scullery, washing pots and pans to veg prep.
Right.
And so I had it easy. And then at the end of that 90 days, it was up. Said, well, all right, so you're going to be a cook now? I said, hell no, I'm going back to the deck department. I want my boats back.
I actually got to laugh because when I was in basic, nobody wanted to do KP duty at all. Period.
Right.
Hey, what's up? Nobody
Hey,
wanted.
how's it going, buddy?
Nobody wanted to do KP duty. And I tell them, hey, I'll tell you what, you give me $20 for the day, I'll do your KP duty for you. I was
Yeah.
doing KP duty for a very, very, very long time before the drill sergeant finally caught on to it. And he says, like, Mr. Moffat, yeah. He says, you're getting out of an awful lot of PT around here by being on KP duty all the time. And I says, well, somebody's got to crack the eggs.
Yeah.
And he found out, he got the window what was going on. And he's like, yeah, we can't let this go on anymore. And I was like, but do it. I'm making $600 a month doing this stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, but you still got to put in the PT. And I'm like, yeah, but you guys don't start until after breakfast is already on the grill, man. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'd be the last one back to the barracks, first one out. I didn't care at all. Oh, I'm making $20 extra a day on top of my regular pay. Hell yeah.
Well, see,
there were so many people that didn't want to do it.
Yeah. I skated all through boot camp and stuff.
I loved it.
Well, I did too. Of course, I was a little bit old, a couple of years older than everybody else was there. And the reason I joined the Navy was because I didn't know how to swim.
Okay. Yeah, that's an excuse.
Yeah, and go figure. And so when we went,
they'll teach you either how to swim or drown. I'll tell you.
Well, one of the first thing you do is you go for your swim crawls, and you jump off the platform. You got to do this, tread water for so many minutes, then swim the thing. Oh, I couldn't do any of that.
Well, see, I had the advantage. When I went to high school, I went to Dryden High School in New York.
Yeah.
And we had our own mini Olympic pool in the school.
Yeah.
It was required that you had to learn how to swim in order to graduate.
We had some things like that too.
And then when our pool got trashed because the wall behind it.
Yeah.
It after years and years and years of a slow leak, it eroded away enough concrete to where the whole wall behind the pool on the deep end just fell into the basement. It flooded the basement of the school, shut the school down for like 2 weeks, and they had to shut the pool down forever. Yeah. And so they made all of us that were like on swim team and stuff start going to the Tompkins County Community College,
right,
to use their pool.
Yeah.
And we were actually over there having to teach other students that were in grades below us at the college how to swim, because it was still a requirement of the school to learn how to swim before you could graduate, even though we didn't have a swim pool anymore.
Yeah. Well,
so that was cool. I enjoyed it.
Well, when I couldn't swim and everything, of course, then I had, right after that qualification, they put me right into remedial swim classes. And of course, all the instructors, they're all SEALs during their little land-based time that they have to do. And
how you doing?
I had the instructor, you're on one-on-one with them. And the guy that actually taught me how, after it was over, within 30 minutes, I was doing circles around them.
All right.
And
well, that's what.
But get this. Then you get up and you're all lined up there in front of the table with all the instructors, and they start you at one side, and you're going down through them. And my instructor was the guy very on the very end. So when I get up there and starts going down, one of the first things they ask you is, of course, boot camp, where are you from?
Yep.
And I say West Virginia. And now I'm just listening to jokes being busted from every instructor going down through there. And I finally get down to my instructor, and he's like, West Virginia, huh? I said, yeah. He said, what part of West Virginia? I said, oh, some town you never heard of. It's called Peterstown.
blunt rock up there on top of the mountain.
Get this. He leaned back in his chair and he said, "Oh, you're one of them Peterstown Pirates." Which the Pirates were our high school mascot. And I'm sitting there going like, "Oh, shit, yeah." And he's like, "Well, you know Bucky Reed, who owns the gas station downtown?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's my cousin." They said, "Oh, you know Retta then, don't you?" I was like, "Yeah, that's his sister. I'm the daddy of her baby." Because she was in the Navy and they met in England and they had a kid together. So from there on, 2 days a week, he would send a runner over to get me to bring me back to his office. And we'd sit in his office and eat pizza and drink beer. So
when I first went to boot camp, yeah, we're talking like within the first week and a half, probably.
Mm-hmm.
They had us all in this big auditorium, and the captain gets up on stage and he says, "Anybody here from New York, stand up." So I stood up. There's probably 4 others that stood up, and he says, "All right, everybody, look around. Everybody, I want you to look at the person standing up beside you right now. If it's not locked down, bolted down, or guarded by a gun, it's going to be gone tomorrow."
Yeah.
You can't trust New Yorkers. And the other 4 dropped down in their seats. I stayed standing up, and they said, "Excuse me, sir." And he's like, "What?" I says, "My name is Mr. Moffett." He says, "All right, Mr. Moffett, what would you like to say?" I says, "I'm from upstate New York, sir. I'm not from the city. I'm from the country. You steal something out of my yard, you're going to get frickin' shot." And he looked at me. He looked at me. He started chuckling. He says, "Okay, Mr. Moffett, you can sit back down. I think you guys can trust him, but them other 4, make sure you remember what they look like."
Yeah.
I was like, okay, good. I made my point, you know?
Yeah. Well, the first ship I was on, that LST, we actually took it for after Fleet Week. We actually went up the Hudson River and went all the way to what's the capital in New York? The state capital?
Albany?
Albany.
Yep.
We actually, since the CO was from Albany, he wanted to go home.
It was like another time that I had a good time too was we were on bivouac.
Yeah.
2 weeks bivouac. And the second day there, it rained like hell. And the captain came out the next day. He says, "All right, I got good news and I got bad news. What do you want first?" And I was like, "Well, give us the bad news, sir." He says, "Well, the bad news is that you're not going to be going home anytime soon." I says, "All right, well, what's the good news, sir?" He says, "Well, the good news is if your rucksack's more than 75% wet, we'll give you a dry one." I looked at him and I started clapping. "Thank you, sir." And everybody's like, "What the fuck, are you nuts or something?" And even he was looking at me weird. And I said, "Hey, I'm from New York. You can't go camping in the middle of February in New York. I don't care. We're out in the middle of woods. It's warm out. I'm having a great time. I don't care."
Yeah. The good part about me being a couple of years older than everybody else in boot camp, whenever somebody messed up, and the drill sergeants, they're looking around at everybody to see the respect, what everybody else is thinking, their expression on their face and stuff like that. And I just sat there going, and it got to where the drill instructors, somebody mess up, and I'd be sitting there shaking my head, and they just look over at me and wink, and like watch this, and just drill the hell. Of course, they knew that the swimming instructor knew me and the family, so that helped too.
All right. Well, I'll be honest with you. One of the things I used to like about the guys that did all the mess ups in boot camp, is while you're sitting there at the bleachers and they're talking to you or whatever, that person be going around crawling on the ground. We used to call it dick down in the dirt.
Yeah.
head down to the dirt pile and just crawl in with everything on the ground, and they'd have to keep crawling around the whole bleachers.
Yeah.
And our company commander was funny. He came up with something one day about this guy who was always in trouble. He was a comedian.
Yeah.
He was a really good comedian, but he was always getting in trouble. And as he went crawling behind the guy one day, he stopped talking and he turned around and he's looking at him. And he's watching him. And after he goes by, he looks back up at us and he says, "Okay, he made it past me. I didn't get my ass chewed out. We're good." And I looked at him. I said, "Sir, his dick is worn out. His face has been in the mud all day long. All I got to say is, what he said was pretty damn funny if you would have listened to it rather than scold him first, because you'd probably be giggling like the rest of us are as we're watching him crawl around behind you." Because most time when he crawled behind the guy, he was like giving him the finger.
Uh-huh.
But he didn't see it because he was looking at us until that last time. And it was like, But yeah, his jokes were funnier than hell.
Yeah.
We had one time in my barracks. I freaked out on this. We had a drill sergeant. His name was Henderson, and he was out of Virginia.
Yeah.
And he's a black, tall, skinny guy. But we had these guys that were in there that were like almost like a barbershop quartet, but doing kind of like a rap type song with it.
Uh-huh.
And he came into the barracks, and they were in there doing it, not seeing him walk through the door. He came in, he took off his hat at the door, he walked all the way around the backside of the bunks, sat on the bunk behind them, and harmonized with them guys. They all turned around to see who the hell that was behind them. And it turned out to be Drill Sergeant Henderson, and they stopped singing, and he looked at him and says, "Well, that was the only song you guys have ever done I ever knew."
Yeah.
I was like, you can't like this drill sergeant. He was a nice guy.
Right.
He was a nice guy. There was a time where we were on, I don't know they were going to ambush our platoon anyway.
Right.
So he set us up. He says, "Everybody, you go down into the woods, you get camouflage, you do this, you do that. I need one lookout on the hill." And I was like, "I'll do that." And he's like, "Yeah, Mr. Buffett, I was going to pick you anyway. You can stay up all night and still pay attention." So him and I went up on the hill. And he's got a walking stick. And while I'm sitting up on the hill, I'm talking to him, and we're watching over the hill. Next thing you know, he's rolled onto his back. He's got his walking stick over his chest, and he starts snoring.
Yep.
And I was like, "You son of a bitch, you kept me awake so you could get a nap in?" Well, when I caught a glimpse of a shine of a rifle coming over the hill, I reached over and I tapped on him, and he looked at me. He's like, real quick, and he's like, "What?" And I says, "Time to wake up." He's like, "What do you mean time to wake up?" I says, "They're coming. I'm going to have you stay right here on top of the hill. If they look like they're coming down on a run, you got to give me like an owl hoot. If they look like they're really just going really, really slow, I want you to sound like a wolf howling." I says, "But other than that, if they're like paying attention to all the sides and really making a whole lot of paying attention going on coming down that hill, I need you to just be super friggin' quiet." He said, "Well, what are you going to do?" And I says, "I'm going to run down off this frickin' hill we're sitting on. I'm going to jump that frickin' road. Hopefully I don't land on anybody and let them know they're on their way."
Yeah.
And I did. And next thing you know, we hear this owl howling. And I was like, "All right, guys, they're running. They're running. They don't know we're here. They're running. They think they're going to catch up to us, but we're already here waiting for them. Yeah. It's our turn to change out the ambush. Don't do anything until they go beyond you." And they're like, "What?" I said, "When they go beyond you. And I'm going to pass it all the way down the line. When they go past your last person at the end of this line right here, I want everybody coming out from the backside with the paintball guns and just start blowing them away." Yeah. And they're like, "Okay, we're ready." And those guys went jogging down the road because they thought they had like another mile to go. And there we were. He did the owl hoot. I let everybody know what was going on. Once they got past the last person in our lineup, as they're going by, the other guys are already working their way up onto the road, but they're not jogging with them. They're just getting up onto the road. Yeah. And taking off all the tree trunks and camouflage and all the shit they had on. Once they went past us, we wiped out their whole platoon. And he was like, I don't know what you made me think I was going to be able to do. I can't howl like a wolf. And I says, oh, no, you could if you really needed to.
But yeah, I miss it. I miss the military.
I do too. I actually tried to get back in,
Yeah,
and the problem was is I waited too long.
yeah. Well, see, I lacked three
And at
months.
that point, they changed. At that point, they changed. At that point, I don't think I would have wanted to get back in because they were given these what they called stress cards. They carried them in.
Oh yeah,
It was,
yeah.
it was like the business card. You got it in your pocket, and
That
if somebody's giving you too much shit, you just pull it out and say, "You can't yell at me like that, sir." You
yeah
know,
that was the year after actually I got out of the military.
that was a year after I got out, and I'm glad I didn't
Yeah,
go back in afterwards because I mean I graduated in '82, so I
right.
went into the army at 80 and the late part of '82,
Yeah,
and I stayed in. My son was born in '90, and I think it was in '90 when they started the Operation Desert Freedom.
you're right. Yeah, well, it was right after that because I graduated in '90, and then we had Desert Storm. After Desert Storm, then it was de- uh, the Freedom.
Operation, yeah, Operation Desert Freedom.
Yeah,
Yeah, or no, opposites, right? Desert Freedom first, and then Desert Storm after.
no, Desert
I don't know.
Storm.
Whatever one in Kuwait was the one I was supposed to be on call for.
That was Desert Storm because actually
Yeah.
I
Okay.
was 1 mile off the coast of Kuwait.
Yeah. See, I didn't have to worry about any of that. By that point, I was already close to my ATS.
Yeah, but I lacked 3 months retiring, and of course I'd done been Navy, active duty Army, and West Virginia Guards. So I was with the South Carolina National Guard at the time, and they said no, you done been medevaced out too many times. You're too much of a
Too much
risk.
of a risk. Yep.
And I said, well, I'll re up to take a desk job for 3 months. And they said no.
Well, see, with my EOS or my E- yeah, I was a 71 Lima 10. My thing was is that my job was supposed to be a desk job.
Yeah, you were S2.
I was HHC, so my job was supposed to be
HHC S2,
uh,
which is, yeah, I think.
section 2 or whatever payroll.
Yeah,
My job was strictly to not be called out unless it got so bad. And I was like, okay, well, when Operation Desert Storm broke out, I was just like, all right, they're telling us we're on call. I know I'm not going overseas. That's obvious. It's just got to be
right.
ready to
Yeah,
go like back to Fort Leonard, Missouri, or somewhere
yeah,
else. And I was like, man, I was really hoping they would like take me back and let me go to a different fort that I haven't been to yet and just check it out. I liked
right,
Missouri. That's why I like Arkansas. I liked Missouri. Other than it was hot and humid as a mother all summer long,
right.
I liked it. I enjoyed it. We spent
Hey,
there was
Charlene.
there was a hi Charlene. There was a whole weekend where we spent a whole lot of time on Lake of the Ozark, Missouri.
Yeah,
That is a huge freaking lake, and we actually were told we had to get off the lake because first of all, I was on a paddle boat with a buddy of mine, and we got sunburnt to hell, which you're not allowed to do in the military because that's in Article 13, destruction of government property,
yeah,
and we both got that because we couldn't wear our uniform. And but what had happened is we got too close to where the army brats lived on the shoreline.
yeah.
We didn't know that was the area. We just seen a bunch of hot girls in bikinis and said, "Hey, let's go over here and see what's going on over here." And we got in trouble. We got towed back by the MPs, and they hooked us back up to our party boat where we were supposed to be anyway. And the one thing they didn't do was catch us with the beer floating in the water underneath the edge of the water in the paddle boat.
Right.
We tied it to the front so it stayed underwater on the paddle boat. but not so far back that it was actually under the paddle
Yeah.
because you weren't allowed to drink on the water unless you're on the party boat. Well, the water was nice and chill, and that kept our beer cold, so we were good. And we took a lot with us.
Well, that kind of reminds me of we was down in Guantanamo Bay, and Cuba, and I get the MPs knew me by name after being down there so much, and it'd be like we'd pull in there, and to get from the where the piers are up to where the base was and the clubs and stuff, it got to where I just stopped by the MP shack and open the door and say, "Hey, I'm here." All right, Scruffy, which pier are you on? That way we know where to bring you back to at the end of the night. And
well, see, my brother.
I was actually also the type that was only all the guys on the ship. They knows that they would tell me, "I bet you won't." Well, by God, I'll show you. After a few beers, and they had what at the head of the pier was a laundromat, and they had not only beer but actually canned Jack Daniels in the beer machines for 25 cents a can. So one thing leads to another. And back on the ship one time, and a couple of guys said, "I bet you won't jump off the side of this ship." And the base admiral's house was right across the water, which had a walkway went down to his personal dock, which had his personal boat that the Navy issued him. And they said, "I bet you won't jump off here and swim over there and steal his boat." Well, by God, I'll show you. I didn't know you'd go from E1 down to E nothing.
Yeah.
So quick.
Yeah. I was actually getting out as an E3, even though I was like in the ballpark of being promoted to E4. I was actually training to be an E5.
Right.
But when they let me out, they said, "Yeah, you're just a PFC," because I fucked up a few times. I don't care.
Go figure.
Yeah, well, hey, after you've been in and you've enjoyed it for so long, you can't just be like a normal person anymore. You gotta push the limit just a little bit.
And back in them days, you could do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Not today.
Oh no! Today you go E4 to E0 within a heartbeat.
No, well, see, in the Navy, an E4 is the equivalent to an E5 in the Army.
Right.
So you basically are a non-commissioned officer.
Right.
And usually, a non-commissioned officer takes the act of Congress to be dropped down, but not whenever you steal the base admiral's personal boat and doing figure eights in the middle of the thing,
right?
Butt ass naked, and because you swim better when you ain't got no clothes on. But that's
should have wore the fins.
Right. Yeah.
You could have jumped off the boat and got away.
Yeah. But
hey, yeah, we did. But you know what? Like us, if you've been in and you've done good for a very, very long time,
yeah,
you have to get a little carried away, especially near the end. For me, it was like right at the very end. You actually have to say, okay, well, I've enjoyed my time here, but now I want to have just a little bit of fun before I got to go back home, because I know when I got back home, I was very upset with when I got back home.
Right.
Everybody that was here doing things when I left were here doing the same freaking things when I got back, and I wasn't the same person anymore.
Right.
I changed.
Yeah.
I learned a lot of responsibility. I did a lot of different things. And when I came back home and I still seen everybody doing the same thing, and I'm just like, if I just stayed here, I'd have been doing that too.
Yeah. Oh,
and I'm glad I didn't, because today, even most of them guys are still doing the same thing. They don't know enough to step outside of the box. You
Yes.
know what I mean? They're just stuck.
Right.
They're just stuck.
Yeah.
And I never wanted to be just stuck. You
Right.
know? I mean, like with our seed business. If I said I'm just stuck, I'm not.
Right.
I'm not. I was just stuck with the seed business until Leah and I got together. And then she slowly started taking over different parts of the seed business.
Yeah.
And it's to the point now, I think it was 2021 COVID area where I bought the building.
I'll be right back.
I spent 6 months remodeling the whole building, and I moved the seed business into that building, and it was really cool because I had Leah there, and I said, Leah, you are now the seed house manager. I don't want no more to do with the seed business right now. I want you to deal with the seed business. I've got other things I want to do, and that's when I opened up the print shop. I opened up the print shop, and I've been running that since 2022, 3 years now. I don't do a lot with it, but when I do stuff with it, I enjoy it, and it's kind of cool. All right, Ace, we'll catch you later. Glad you come hang out. And actually, he stepped out. I'm going to step out. So, and the point of that means it's 8:47. We started at 7. We've been on plenty long enough, so it's time for all of us to have a good night. Everybody, we'll catch you maybe next weekend. I'll see if I can get Greg to come join us or somebody else maybe, but you ain't leaving. All right, well, if you ain't leaving, I ain't leaving. I'll wait for him to get back and then I'll go do what he's doing right now, but okay.
What? I'll be right back. I'm not quite done yet.
All right, we're waiting for you.
I'm going outside.
All right. Must be his toilet doesn't work anymore. He's got to go find a tree. He's got lots of them. It's fine. And he's got a truck parked in the front driveway. He can pee behind. Nobody will ever see him. He lives on top of a mountain in West Virginia. Come on. The traffic goes by his house, probably one car every 2 hours. He probably does, Ace. I'll be honest with you. He probably does. I wouldn't blame him for doing it. But he does have a bathroom in his house. I think that's where he headed the first time. I don't know. Maybe he had to go outside and go find a piece of firewood to add to the wood fire. I don't know. His temperatures are warmer than mine. Mine right now are 54 degrees. Last night, I sat up here in my office. Of course, all the heat is downstairs in my house. There's no heaters upstairs in my area except for the one I got under my desk, a little electric oil filled. And that's only because my legs get cold. Okay. Did you go outside to go pee because your toilet wasn't
Yes, I
working?
did.
All right. Then that's what we do.
But everybody knows I pee outside. I got a reputation to uphold.
See, Ace is saying it's his icon, David. Don't you know? He always pees outside. I was getting ready to cut it short while you were out, and she's like, I ain't leaving. Okay, well, if you're not leaving, neither am I.
Well, you know,
now that you're
that's
back,
my sister. But you go take care of what you need to take care of.
well, now that you're back, I'm going to step away for just a minute. But I'm not going outside. It's too cold out. It's 54 degrees outside here right now.
It's starting to drop here. Well, it is here too. Sister Ace, what you been into today? I got your mug. I think I told you. And matter of fact, let me grab it real quick. Yep. The mug that you won came in the mail, and you gifted it to me from Jesse and Lisa's Lazy Days Ahead. Thank you, sister. Love you, girl. But I am feeling better today. Yeah, I got your mug. Man. I can hear him coming. Oh no, I can hear him. He just flushed the toilet.
You betcha. You betcha. I sure did. I can tell you this much: it's raining outside.
Really?
Hell
Well,
yeah!
see, it's 54 degrees here too, but luckily we ain't rain. It ain't raining or anything. But
Last night up here in my office, I think it was like 43 degrees outdoors.
yeah,
I only ride. What do they call that? Not residual heat, but uh,
uh,
convection heat.
yeah,
I have heaters in the downstairs of the house, and I have heaters in my basement. But because of the one in my basement and the one on my first floor, they wouldn't let me put a one on my third floor, which is fine. I do have the propane lines and outlets available to do it,
right,
but I was like, I don't care. Heat rises, you know,
yeah. What
and it does.
do you have any vents? Do you have
Well,
any vents up there?
yeah, I do. I have one vent that's not from the downstairs. It's from the roof downstairs.
Right.
Goes into an airspace that's maybe 14 inches tall,
Yeah.
and then it breaks through the floor up here in the hallway in my office, between my music room and my office. That's the only open floor that I've got other than the basement stairway coming up. There was a vent in the living room right over top of the heater where all that heat would come up.
Hey, David
And
Blunt.
hey, David, what? How you doing? I closed that vent off with a piece of insulation
Ah, okay.
because we were working in the upstairs hallway and I didn't want all that dust downstairs. And I
Right.
haven't opened it back up because the problem is that heat does rise.
Yeah.
So what I did is underneath my desk I have a little oil filled radiator heater.
Yeah.
Last night I had to turn it on just so it could kind of like keep my legs warm. It was nothing more than that.
Right.
But it was like 43 degrees outside, and I'm like, yeah, I'm sitting up here feeling it.
Yeah. But
But right now the first floor heater is not even turned on.
okay.
I try to hold back on that because our electric bills are already high enough, and I don't want to add to the bills and raise the propane bill too.
Right.
You know,
I understand. But
I did
Well,
I
no,
did I did change the seed house this year. That was a $7,000 change, which I found in Florida. I could have done for $1,500. I
yeah.
put a mini split on the seed house.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you have. I know you got my email address, but I don't know if you have my personal address.
I have your phone number, but I don't have your personal address.
Okay.
You can
Well,
you can text it to me.
that's what I'm going to say. I'm going to text you my personal address,
Okay.
and because I don't know tech and stuff. I have a really big problem even just sending emails and stuff. But if you could, I'm gonna send you my address, and if you have any flyers of your seed company and everything like that, uh, if you could send it to me, that way I can post it on my wall. That way, when I start to order seeds and everything next time, the the
Oh, I can do
it,
better than that. I can give you a little refrigerator magnet.
that'll work great. That would be even better.
Yeah, we do.
Uh,
We don't do business cards. We do refrigerator magnets.
yeah, because actually, since we're in the fall and everything, I started a couple months back. Uh, went to plant my the cucumber seeds from last year that I saved and put them out there, and I planted them. Everything good to go, and now I got tomato plants or tomatoes growing about
Yeah,
almost 10 inches around.
we call those donors. I've got about 30 of them.
Yeah. Well,
I was,
evidently, they wasn't cucumbers; they were tomato seeds I saved from last year too. But
oh, the cucumber from tomato, they're easy to tell the difference part.
I well, no, the seeds were the same size and same
Uh,
color and everything.
cucumbers and tomatoes shouldn't be. Tomatoes are a seed that's about the size of the tip of this pen, okay? And they're kind of
Yeah.
a brown color. A cucumber seed is more like about the size of this nail file, and they're yellow or white.
No, well, these were yellow and about half the size of the end of the pin. I believe the pin.
I don't know where you
But
got it.
no, that's about the same size as the head of the pin.
Right. I
And
don't know where you got them from, but if you got them from me, I can guarantee you that's not a cucumber seed.
what
Cucumber's half the size of a squash,
uh,
as
the
far
ones
as seeds are concerned.
that I saved wasn't. Of
Yeah, yeah.
course, they were supposed to be have been the miniature cucumbers. Goes from 4 to 6 inches.
Yeah, that'd be like a pickling cucumber.
All right.
Hey, Freedom Redbird, how you doing, Brenda?
Hey, my sister, I'm ready for you to come back and visit. I need a Brenda hug.
Yes, he does. And not only that, but he needs Brenda to show him the difference between a tomato seed and a cucumber seed.
Evidently, because I thought they were the same. And
No, they're nowhere near the same. A pepper seed isn't even the same as a tomato seed.
I'm just learning. And
Yeah, well,
I'll be telling you what, I'll tell you the truth. If it wasn't for the vineyard chicks, last year, getting me involved with getting up and doing something to get off the couch and do something.
right.
Because my health is so bad. The 10-year-old, well, at the time she's 11 now, she's the one that has taught me how to grow things from there. Last year I had 18 tomato plants growing in this room and this room, which I'll never do. I'll never do it again because I still can't get rid of the damn gnats.
Well, tomato seeds they'll cause those no-see-ums.
Yeah. Well,
Those
and
things are nasty.
this window here, I grew 3 cucumber plants, and they grew up and they were hanging off the chandelier. And rather than 4 to 6 inches, so a couple of them was over 18 inches long, hanging from my chandelier above my head.
Oh, you're lucky the chandelier is still hanging over your head.
Yeah. I didn't have to buy curtains. Well, you've been in my house. This window here.
I actually
I
had a room.
Because the tomato plants, they grew up. I couldn't transplant them outside, and I just started wrapping around in circles and circles and circles. And
in the house where I met Leah when she started coming in and taking over part of the seed business.
yeah,
The biggest room in the house was the master bedroom. And then there was like a really small room, and that was my office, which became a supply closet. And then the last room,
yeah.
I painted the room green, and I turned that into my grow room. And I was playing with hydroponics. I had bean plants in there that were growing all the way up to the ceiling, across the ceiling, and down the trellis on the other side, on the back side of the window.
Yeah.
And I could go in there and I could pick like 300 beans.
Yeah.
Go down the next day, can them all, and then go back up the next day and pick 300 more.
Yeah.
And I was growing cucumbers, and I was growing tomatoes, and everything was done with hydroponics. It was my first time ever playing with it. I had a lot of fun. But then my brother got in really bad health, so I had to take apart my grow room and turn that into his bedroom.
Right.
And I was like, man, I miss my grow room. Well, my brother passed away. I threw my wife out of the house. I took the master bedroom, turned that into the seed room.
Yeah.
Moved it out of my office because my office was way too small. My office became a storage room for just like boxes and packaging materials and stuff. And then my brother's old room became my bedroom with a little fold-out twin bed, And that's when Leah and I got together, and I was like, oh, well, the twin bed's not really working out for us, but I got an idea. You're taking over the seed business. The seed business is taking over the house. The whole downstairs, the whole living room downstairs was just nothing but piles and piles of empty cardboard boxes and shit that had to be taken out.
Yeah.
So I had a friend of mine come over, and he would come over and he'd load his truck up with boxes every couple of days. So he could even sit on the couch and see the TV, let alone watch it.
Right.
So I told Leah, I says, look, he's got a trailer he needs to have renovated, and he wants to get re-rented back out. So my thinking is, I'm going to leave you here in Cortland. I'm going to go over. I'm going to renovate that trailer, and I'm going to rent that trailer. I'm going to live over there. You stay over here. You run the seed business. Blah blah blah. Back and forth. And well, that didn't last very long.
Yeah.
She ended up moving over to the trailer with me. We let that rental property go, and it worked. It was tight, but it worked.
Right.
We had 2 bedrooms in the trailer plus a bathroom in the trailer that was all seed business,
Right.
all of it. So first half of the trailer, seed business. Second half trailer, living room, small kitchen with the needed area, and laundry room and bedroom. You know,
Yeah.
and then I had my wood shop. That was my pride and joy. I had my wood shop, so I was content.
Right.
And then when we bought this house, I was like, all right, well, good. I've got the garage. I'll have my wood shop. Yeah, not quite so much. Uh, we got one room in here we can transfer the seeds into. Then COVID hit. Everybody's got to be 6 feet apart. Well, that means you can only have 2 people in the room at a time, and I needed to have three. You
Right.
know, 2 putting together orders, one shipping them out, and not room for three. And I was like, all right, buy this building, get it brought in, go out, re-renovate the whole building. It was kind of like Mike and Lissa's shed that they just had delivered that we love them.
Yeah. Yeah.
14 by 34. Built more like the kids' house because I had a porch on it,
Yeah.
but bigger than that one. And I made that into the seed house. And then my employees that I hired at that time, it just happened that the husband was a flooring guy. Well, I've already got the
Okay.
flooring. I've already got the flooring. I've already got everything sheetrocked. All I got to do is just put some paint on the walls, and then the floor is ready to go down. And he came in and he looked at it and says, "You know I do flooring, right?" No. He says, "Yeah, I do flooring." Well, he goes, "All right, when do you want to do it?" And he says, "How soon can you have this thing painted?" I was like, "Oh, I have it painted before the end of the weekend." He says, "All right, I'll be here Monday. We'll put the floor down." Well, Monday turned into Tuesday, turned into Wednesday.
Yeah.
That floor was a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But we did it. And he's like, "All right, now we got that done. What else do I need to do?" And I was, "Well, I got all the boards for it. I want a 3 foot by 6 foot island that's counter height." And he's like, "All right." I says, "But it has to be made big enough to be able to put 3 filing cabinets down each side of it, back to back, all the way down it." He's like, "All right, yeah, I can do that." I says, "All right." So I give him the wood, put him board. He finished that. He says, "All right, what else we got?" And I said, "Well, I need a pegboard wall. It needs to start over here a foot off of this wall and go all the way down as far as the 4 sheets will take me."
Yeah.
"All right, yeah, I can do that. All right, here's the pegboard. Here's the other boards put behind it. Here's the color I want it painted. Here's this, here's that." He did it. He's like, "All right, what else do I need to do?" And I says, "Well, that 1 foot where the pegboard doesn't touch the wall, from there all the way down to the other wall, that has to be a shelf, a standing shelf.
Yeah.
All the seed bins are going to go on top of the shelf." And he's like, "All right, I can do that. You got the wood?" And I says, "Yeah, I do actually." So I gave him the wood. He went out, he did it. He's like, "All right, what else we got to do?" I says, "Well, we got this credentials that's got to be put together in a box." He did that. We get brought out a pair of sawhorses, took an old door, put that on top of there for the area for our files to sit on top of. And then we built a countertop off another piece of wood over here on the side to be able to do mail outs on. Because when you get done doing all the mailing and shit, you got to be able to put them into totes or whatever.
Right.
Well, it turned out we were so busy at the time, the totes never got on top of the counter. It turned out to be more mailboxes, or what were actually paper carton boxes.
Yeah.
Where when the wall got filled up with 24 orders, then you start putting them in these boxes. So when the person is doing the mail out, they just grab the next box in line, turn it around, and start taking them out of the front and doing the mail outs from them. We had 4 of them boxes lined up on the countertop. And then I got this, well, here I'm my idea. Well, the windows are right there. The middle window should have a shelf in front of it and a shelf behind it.
Right.
And he's like, "For what?" And I says, "Well, if somebody wants to come up and order seeds, they can ring the bell. We can open the window, hand them the sheet. They can write down what they want. They can pass it back through the window when they're done. We can put the order together. We pass the seeds out the window, take their money, put it in the register. So I need a place for a register."
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, we can do that. And I was like, okay, but now we need another table over here because the mail out area isn't working. I got tape machines and stuff I got to put in. And then we had to bring in electric heaters and a big floor air conditioning unit and this and that.
Right.
And we totally filled the room, coffee pot, TV, the whole 9 yards. And then we brought the seed house out. From that point forward, that business got boom. COVID kicked my ass.
Yeah.
I did not know so many stores were shutting down all of their garden centers because they classified them as non-essential business sections.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, government, or state governments especially.
Yeah.
That blew us up. We did $250,000 or $500,000 worth of business that year.
Yeah.
That paid for the business. I mean, it paid for all the seeds. It paid for the postage, the packaging. We actually reached out. We actually reached out to Sticker Mule and had them doing custom printed packaging for us.
Right.
And you can't order small order.
Right.
This building had a loft in it. We filled the lofts. We filled the front porch. We had a canopy set up out beside the building. It was totally filled up with all these boxes of packaging materials. 3 months later, went through all of them. Right. Holy shit, we got to do this again. They brought in 2 UPS trucks full of packaging materials. I'm like, well, now where are we putting them?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll make room for them. All right, you better.
Yeah. What my landlord, which I grew up with him, went to school together. I think we was all close. But they own the greenhouse right here in town, which they are. What the acres they mainly do. The business they do on the farm was a couple thousand acres between what they own and what they lease out to grow corn. And they sell their corn from just this side of Richmond, Virginia, down next to Charlotte, North Carolina, and over toward Bristol.
Hold on, I got this one. It's the rich man north of Richmond.
Yeah. Well, they're still south. So, but that's how they. But then they own greenhouses and stuff to grow plants and stuff. So, and I've been thinking about, because this house has a full basement underneath it, but it is the perfect atmosphere to grow edible mushrooms, not the hallucinogenic type.
Yeah. The thing with growing mushrooms is it needs to be dark and it needs to be moist. That becomes an issue if you keep your basement moist.
The basement is
dark and cool is one thing, but you need the
dark
moisture.
And cool, and it's so moist down there that the concrete actually stays a dark color.
Wow, I'd be worried about what that does to your floorboards.
Well,
and your floor joists.
Well, I'm renting here, so it don't matter to me. That's his problem, not mine.
Set up a sprinkler. It's not my problem.
No, it is. and well, the way the blocks are, on the side of the house,
right?
It's got the bottom blocks is where and the inset blocks for they were going to do brick later on. They never did it. So it's got the holes there of the brick block that are start. And every time it rains and everything, that moisture goes straight into the blocks.
Okay.
So it is the perfect.
I'm gonna look at my email while we're talking real quick, Troy, but I don't think I have it anymore. No, I don't. I got rid of all my big emails. There was a company I dealt with that was they did edible mushrooms, and they sold them. They sold the plugs, and you could just get a piece of hardwood, put it on the basement.
I've been thinking about doing that.
Drill the holes, drop the plug in the hole, water the log, and just leave it set in a dark, cool place that has a lot of moisture.
Right.
And they would grow. They did lion's mane.
Exactly. That's
all the good ones. All the good ones.
And you could. Well, see, I could even do that down there, down next to the fence at the back of the property, underneath all them pine trees and stuff. That would be a good because
I'm
it
gonna
stays
go
wet
over
down there.
I'm gonna go to my other computer and see if I can find it. It was I don't remember where they were out of, but I think it was Washington State. But
Well, see, there's a company up here in Princeton on Main Street that they actually do the cultivating of mushrooms and stuff, and uh, they actually give classes on how to do it. And right beside them is a restaurant which has really good food. Everything that they fix there is all mushrooms, and they make a pizza made from they make a flour out of mushrooms and for the pizzas and oh, it's great.
all right, here you go. There's a place it's called mushroommountain.com.
And I'm
It's
going to
not
write that down.
it's not the one I dealt with, but mushroommountain.com.
I'll be
If you
looking
buy,
at
all right, if you buy more than 5 sets of plugs, you automatically get a 15% discount. But if you use their promo code mushy5 and buy more than 10 sets of plugs, you'll get a 25% discount.
it. Okay. There's a girl that I just started following. She's here in West Virginia. And from what I've seen, she's not very far from me, but she's got a YouTube channel and does all this stuff. And
Right.
I've been thinking about getting a hold of her and tell her what I'm wanting to do because her house, she has her own lab and everything to propagate the mushrooms and stuff. So
Yeah, David Glunt, believe it or not, I moved my screen printing business to my basement. So it's not connected anymore because I put it in a water conditioning system.
yeah,
It's like a big water filtration and water softener and everything all combined. I had to move it, but I had a washout sink with a garden hose with a spray nozzle that was like really high powered because it was straight off the well. I could wash out my screens with it, and I don't have the ability to tap into that spot anymore because that runs my water conditioning system. And what I used for drain off of that sink, which was a sump pump in a bucket, would reach up a certain point, the pump would kick on, and then pump it out to my septic. So I don't have any of that hooked up anymore, although I do have all the components of it. But yeah,
what,
my
what type?
my basement didn't have the lighting set up for it, but I could have changed all the lights to be able to be grow lights. That would have been easy.
Well, um, like a water system type deal. Couldn't you do like go to Lowe's or somewhere like that and get the kit for or maybe a couple of them to get the amount of water you needed. The they got the kit the tap system for like the refrigerator ice maker thing.
Yeah,
Which
I could actually. This is going to blow you away. You know, Mike and Lester are getting ready to do a whole lot of PEX piping, right?
yeah.
I just had delivered to him today a Ryobi PEX piper crimper.
Nope. Oh, I've got one of those and they're not cheap.
No, they aren't. I'm
They're
not going to
proud
tell
of
you.
those.
I'm not going to tell you what I paid, but I got the tool, the battery, and the charger, and had it delivered to his house today.
Mm-hmm.
He sent me a text going, "Is this PEX A or PEX B?" And I was like, "I don't know which one's A or B, Mike. I know which one's red and which one's blue and which one uses the metal crimp rings. This
Yeah.
is for the metal crimp rings.
Yeah.
The tool for doing the other PEX where it has to go in and expand the pipe or the fittings,
Yep.
and then you stick the pipe into it, and then you got to wait for it to shrink back down.
And then you put
I
the
don't.
ring.
It doesn't have a ring.
No, no, you're right. Yeah.
The ring's on the outside of the pipe before you go in with that tool and start expanding
Yeah.
it.
What my last house that I had,
That's good PEX. It's really good PEX because once it
is.
closes back down, it's watertight. But I watch Trenton Alley out of Utah,
Yeah.
and he uses that, And he's had so many times where he went in and used it and then had to cut the line, add a new piece on, and then go back in and redo his fittings because they leaked.
Yeah.
The one with the red and the blue using the metal ring with that tool, it never leaks.
Yeah.
That's what I sent Mike. Yeah, I ordered it from Home Depot and it was delivered to him today.
Cool.
I tried to get Mama V to get one, but she was like, dude, I ain't got that kind of money. She looked at it. She's like, oh, that'd be cool. You know, she got the she borrowed the crimpers from I think David.
Yep.
Well, those things will work you out. I had those when I did my upstairs shower.
Yep.
And then
Take care, Brenda. I'll be on your live sometime.
I had some other PEX piping work to do down in my basement.
Yeah.
And when that guy came in and did my water conditioning system, he had that brand new Ryobi tool. Never used it. He brought it. This was the first job he used it on. And I asked him a whole lot of questions about it, and he told me about it. And I'm like, all right, I'm not going to order one right now, but I do want one. And he's like, well, why aren't you just going to go order it? And I says, because you're my guinea pig. When you get done doing what you're doing, if you guarantee me that I'm not going to see any leaks, then I'll go upstairs and I'll get right on to Home Depot and I'll order the tool only. I already got the batteries and chargers for other Ryobi tools, but I want to make sure it works before I order it because that was a pretty good spend. And I went back down an hour later and he had everything already done. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah. He says, I did it. He says, that tool I could never do without. Ever do without. And I was like, what? And he says, yeah. He says, that blew me away. He says, it's just pull the trigger, it closes the ring right to where it needs to be. And then when you let go of the trigger, it releases the tool, you pull it off, and you're ready for the next, and you can get into really tight spaces with it. And you don't have to spend all that muscle time. And I was like, all right, cool, you sold me. I went right upstairs and I ordered one for myself. And that's why I told Mama V, I can show you what it looks like. You got one, but I can show everybody else what it looks like. It's an awesome tool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Ace sent me the link for Mushroom Mountain.
Yeah, Mushroom Mountain. I think.
And actually, if she was a hint, if she was a moderator on your channel, that she could even post it. Which
I can't do that off of StreamYard. I have to do that off YouTube.
You got to do it off your phone.
Let me see if I can go onto YouTube and pull up the stream. I don't know, but let me go to.
Hey, Brutal Bob.
Maybe YouTube Studio. Content. Go to live. Hanging with HalfAss Homestead. Yep, we're still streaming.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. She is a really good mod, and a lot of people use her as a mod.
I can't do it from right now. I can do it, but I really can't do it right now. I don't think. Let me see. If I can go right to YouTube, I can probably do it.
A lot of times I know people have to go to their phone and do it off their phone. But I don't know any of that shit. Yeah, he says, I'm used at LOL. She's a good girl. That's why I'm proud to call her my half-ass sister.
All right, well, she's my half-ass sister now. And Ace, I believe you have been added as a standard moderator. Go ahead and post a link. See if a wrench pops up. Hey, Brutal Bob, how you doing? Didn't see you pop in. Ace, try to post that link again. Let's see if you get a little blue wrench beside your name.
Yeah. I was talking.
Yeah, I had to go to YouTube Studio.
Yeah.
And then go to YouTube Live, and then click on the YouTube link, and then get double of everything we just said up to that point.
Yeah.
To go in and do it, but I think I did it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can't do any of that. That's why I got my adopted nephew to. He does all my stuff, which actually
There you go. Yep, Ace
Yep,
has it.
she got it. But actually, he's about ready
Now,
to come
okay,
in.
Ace, you can be all ass and not half ass, but that's okay. We're all half ass over here, so that's why we called the name Half Ass Homestead.
That's right.
But you do have the blue wrench, so you can share a link. I do believe.
Yeah.
I do believe.
Actually, Drake's going to come in hopefully tomorrow, and I'm actually going to do another cooking video.
Who's
And
that?
and it's actually that way I can join a collab that's between Whistle Stop Homestead and Amy at Leonard Mountain Homestead. They're going to do it together. It's a
Oh, really? Okay.
kind of a tribute to Lori Prepping for Heaven.
All right.
And it's just there's no money involved. Nobody, it's not a competition. It's just getting everybody together to put in a short video and post it all in memory of Lori. But
See, that's funny.
which Lori had the same problem that I did, that can't eat tomatoes.
Well, didn't we meet Lori at the Oklahoma meetup this year?
No. Lori's
Okay.
right above you.
All right, maybe it was in 2023 when I met her.
No, she's was up in Ace is gonna have to help me with this. The state above y'all.
Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, side.
Either Maine or Massachusetts. It did start with the M.
Okay.
But since her and I couldn't make chili, they said it's chili because it this time of the year and stuff.
All right, there's your link.
Yeah, and I found a recipe for a creamy white chili.
I actually have a recipe for white chili that my boss had done when I was working. Mr. and Mrs. Father Job, how the heck are you doing? He did a white chicken chili for a Chili's cook-off and won 3 years in a row with it.
Yeah. Well, this is a recipe for a white chicken recipe, but I'm going to add. I'm going to do chicken and sausage to it to give it a little bit of heat, because I can handle a little bit of heat.
Yep, but that's the way I am. I can do a little bit of heat, not a whole lot.
Right. So, yeah, Massachusetts is where.
Actually,
Mr. Walter Jobs. Glad to see you in here.
My old boss actually used white hominy corn and put that in his chili.
Yeah. Well, this recipe calls for Great Northern beans, but I think I might even, since I'm adding to it with the sausage, I might actually add. I'm thinking about adding in green beans.
It won't be white chili if you add in green beans.
Well, it'd be white and
unless you use the seeds, they're white.
Yeah, because it does have diced chilies in it. But
all right, yeah. So you're gonna have some color anyway.
Right. I'll see how it goes. We'll start. And actually, the collab actually started today, but there's no deadline on it. It's just as long as you put in the hashtag.
Prepping for Heaven.
It's that, but I can't remember exactly what it is. If Ace knows, if you could post that, I'd appreciate it. But then they're putting together, and it might be whenever they get enough, it might be 3 or 4 videos all thrown together, and it might go for a couple months. So as they get them, put them together, they're gonna put it together and put it out. The only thing they ask is chili, do a cornbread or a biscuit because Lori loved cornbread and loved bread, but she loved watching everybody cook. So,
Right.
uh,
I don't know. I don't sell them, but they actually sell white tomatoes.
I hadn't seen that. But I can kind of eat a lot of the yellow tomatoes because they don't have the acid content that red tomatoes
Yep.
do.
Yep. Yeah. Yellows are sweeter,
Okay.
but it's hard to find.
I've never heard of them before.
Yeah. I have. Actually, you can get yellow plum tomatoes. I sell those.
Right.
But you want to have your chili done before you have to grow them.
Yeah.
90 days out's a little late.
Yeah. Oh, I gotta go grab something really quick.
Yeah, there he goes. He's gonna go back outdoors and go pee again. Mr. and Mrs. Waterjob Jr., how are you doing?
No, I took a right instead of a left. So,
Well, that was the direction of the bathroom when I was there.
well, it is, but I didn't have to do that. But anyway, Mr. and Mrs. Walter Job is in here, and I got to give a shout out, if you don't mind, David. I got this book, and if you see the name at the bottom,
Walter Job Jr. There you go, Mary Rose.
yep, that is Mr. Jobs, and is a very good book.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hold it up one more time so we can see the title. Invisible Wars. The New Sentinels. Okay.
Yeah, and then
All right. Well, Mr. Job, I did not know your name was Walter. That's cool.
yeah, very good book, and I'm only through but that much of it because I'm a slow reader, being dyslexic and everything else.
All right, Troy, there you go. You got to get them sent to you from Delaware, but David Glunt grows a lot of yellow tomatoes.
Oh, okay.
Charlene Grady, how you doing?
Yep. Hi, Charlene. Again, I seen you earlier.
All right, there we go. Lori Prep for Heaven's link is now live.
Yeah, that which she is the one that actually the first people that I ever went live with was Amy Leonard Mountain. I done one live with them, and then I met Lori and started going live with her regularly. Yeah. Very sweet person.
I used to do a lot of lives with a lot of people, like with Sergeant Talk TV.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, I mean, I've got a list. And that list has got more pen writing on it and scratch offs. And I should upgrade it, you know what I mean? And then reprint it or re-put it out. But it's like the Black Sheep Project. I've got them on three or 4 different days, and 3 or 4 different days have been scratched off. I've got one live now for Sundays at 4 o'clock Central Time with Micah and Liz.
Yeah.
But I don't know as though they're actually there. And I also have another one at the same time for Brett over at Tiny Farm Nuggets. And I have not caught that one on Sundays. I try not to spend all my time on YouTube, but it's really hard because I watch so many channels. You know, I got Trent and Ellie over in Utah every Monday, every Friday, and then I've got Langley Outdoor Academy. I try to catch up on what he's got going on because he's pretty knowledgeable about what's going on. Yeah. And I watch all these other ones, and there's just so many channels that I try to watch. And then, of course, you got Mary and Miley Adventures. She's
Yeah.
been doing a lot. And then you got Gary Skews, and then you got Dave, and then you got Mel and Gary, and not so
Yeah.
much anymore with the brother of Melanie,
Right.
Anthony and Roxanne.
Right.
But every once in a while they'll post something. There's just so many, so many. Marcel and Denise, and it's all
Yeah.
Grady, and Tim and Jen. Well, not Jen anymore, but Ridge Life.
Yeah.
And then you got Mama. Then you got Mama V, and then you got Mike and Sid out the Three Mississippi, and then Jason and well, I missed that one. I was wrong one I'm looking at, but Jason and Tara, White Rock Nation. I try to watch all theirs.
Yeah.
And then of course 33 misses or not 45th above
About
Michigan above the 45th parallel.
yeah.
Jason or Sizzle and Clarissa. And I try to watch all these different ones, and you get all these ones. And of course, not everybody's there anymore like they said they were going to be. Peter Old Man King Homestead, I don't try to watch his because he's on all the time.
I catch him about once or twice a week.
I try to catch him maybe once every couple of weeks, but
Yeah.
for me, that's just like everything's done on green screen.
Right.
Nothing's done in real life, and for me, that's kind of a throw off because you got this really nice living room behind you.
Yeah, I don't like that.
And it's not your living room.
Yeah.
I've tried green screen. I could put a green screen behind me right now, and I could have the White House behind me if I wanted to.
Well, I thought about that too, but you know what? It's not me. This is me.
If I could play with the green screen, I would create like a wooden bench, sticking out of the green screen, where I'm sitting on a ledge somewheres, and then everything behind me would be like a bridge in London, or Paris or some place like that. That's not me,
But like you said, that's not you.
And the green screen, because of today's technology, there are some really good green screens out there that work really well with certain cameras. My cameras aren't made to do that. I'd be looking like Peter. My hair would be like, oh, today it's sticking out over here, and then the second I move, it's sticking out over here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just, and you can see it, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Ace, I'll be honest with you. I watch so many channels. I got Guns and Gadgets. I got Braden Langley Outdoors Academy.
Mm-hmm.
The one we were talking about before, the unsubscribed podcast.
Yeah.
There's just so many, and I try to watch them.
Right.
But if I spent all my time watching all of these things going on every day, all day long, I'd have no life.
Well, see,
I wouldn't even have time to eat.
Well, see, that's kind of the difference between me and you, which you have a job, you have other things you can do. I'm bound here in the house.
Actually, I don't have a job.
And if it wasn't
my job is to sit at this computer and when I can afford to do payroll.
Yeah.
And when I can't afford to, find out where the money's at so I can at least afford to do mail out. And then every morning, like 11:30 in the morning, I'll put all whatever's got to go in the car, and I'll drive a mile away to the post office, and then I'll come back, and that's the end of my day.
Yeah.
Other than I got this big tree down in my front yard now that I got to go out and clean up. Right. And I have to go out and feed my chickens and collect eggs every now and then.
Yeah.
Other than that, I really don't have a whole lot going on in my life, which is fine. I'm not complaining. Yeah. It's just, it's allowing me to get awful freaking lazy.
Yeah. Well, with me, it actually, YouTube and the people I call YouTube family now, like me and you, David, we would have never known anybody, or we would not have known each other if it wasn't for
YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. I would know 3,000 people on Facebook. Out of those 3,000 people, I probably know 20 in person. And out of those 20, probably 10 of them I wouldn't recognize in person because it's been years since we met in person.
Not YouTube has actually saved my life because I probably would have been, well, I know I would have been gone by now because I had nothing. You two have become my family and best friends, which have become family.
We became brothers, man. Come on, we took a trip together.
We did, and didn't know each other from Adam.
No, but we did when we got back.
Oh yeah, y'all drove down from New York down to southeast West Virginia, picked me up, and we went to Oklahoma.
Oh, actually, we went to Arkansas first.
Yes, we did, and spent 3 days there with Mike and Lissa, which was
Arkansas was the best trip.
that
The
that
Oklahoma
was
part,
yeah.
other than getting together with people that I knew in Arkansas,
Yeah,
that were in Oklahoma or whatever, like Jason and Tara and people like that when we were there.
yeah,
I could have got by with just the Arkansas trip. Seriously.
yeah. But
We had David there. We had Mike and Lissa there.
yeah,
We were fine,
was
and it would have been really if then in Oklahoma now we got Lauren and Joel.
yeah.
They came out and hung out with us for a while.
Well,
Terry Hughes
Lauren and
came
Joel,
over and hung out for a while.
they were the ones that actually put that all together for us to go out there together.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
it. And then of course we had Rachel and Sean.
Yeah.
We got to go visit them over on near their property, not on their property, but near their property
Yeah.
with Mary.
Well, yeah. That's when I met Mary. I knew who they were. But,
Yeah.
But now
The first time
their family too.
The first time I talked to Gary Skuse was back when he wanted to have those Eclipse T-shirts made, and we were emailing back and forth, and it was constant. He'd email me, and then I'd get it, and then a day later I'd email him back, and then a day later he'd email me again, and a day later I'd email him back, and I finally said to him, I said, Gary, why don't you just give me your phone number?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, why? I said, because the email's taking forever.
Yeah.
I can send you a text message. You'll have it in like 10 minutes. Your phone will let you know you got it. You can either respond then or wait till later to respond, but at least we're more in direct communication. And the two of us have been in direct communication ever since.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I've had times where I've watched his videos and I've just called him up and said, dude, I got to ask, how are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
It's not, I'm sending you a text now. No, I'm actually going to call you because I know you're not doing anything. So now I can.
Yeah.
Well,
another great part about that trip was we didn't plan on making one of those stops.
Yeah.
We just happened to run into somebody in a Dollar General store.
Yeah, that was boy. Yeah, Sean and Rachel. Sean and Rachel, right?
Sean and Rachel. We ran into Sean at the Dollar General store.
Actually, we didn't run into him. Greg ran into him.
Because
I would not have recognized him.
Yeah,
because I was used to seeing Rachel on the videos, not him.
Because that morning we went down to Mike and Lissa's daughter, her school talent show.
Yep.
Which was great.
It was fantastic.
It was, and on the way back, we stopped in because we needed a couple things, deodorant, chairs, and stuff that we all forgot.
Yeah.
And
actually, I got my chair at Buc-ee's.
Yeah. I started
the most expensive chair I've ever bought in my life, but you know what? If it weren't in the back of my truck, I'd still be using it today.
Well, I started to get one too, but since we had Dollar Generals, I bought one at Dollar General. So
Ace, I got to meet you in Oklahoma.
Yep.
You made yourself known. You were like Mr. Moffett, and I'm like, yeah.
Well, let me tell you how.
Okay, now I know who you are.
I left over where the pavilion was, and I was going back to the campsite, and that morning, and right by the bathhouses and John and all that stuff, I'm walking past there, and all I heard was a Troy. And of course, I automatically just cringed.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I didn't take nothing.
What happened? And her car door opened, and as soon as her car door opened, she's like, you don't know who I am,
right.
are you? And I was like, no. But then it was like Ace. Then it's like, now.
Yeah.
Ace is my sister now.
Ace blew me away in Oklahoma. I walked up by her, and she just looked over and says, Mr. Moffat. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, I'm Ace. Okay, now I know who you are.
Yeah.
Because, when you see a little picture on these screens,
yeah,
and you see the name, until you put the face to the name, they're not the same. It's the same with everybody. I mean, if I look at Mike and Lissa, I know Mike and Lissa. There's no doubt about it. There's no partaking in on that one. But even like when I met Leah on Facebook. The picture that was on Leah's profile was not the Leah I met in person by any means. It was probably a picture of her daughter. You know what I'm saying? I was like, whoa, I got a good looking girl talking to me like this. And I was like, what the hell? Yeah, I got to respond. And it turned out to be that's not the same person. It was the same person 30 years ago or 20 years ago, but it's not the same person today. And that's the way it works with Facebook too, or with even YouTube. A lot of people share pictures. Like Charlene Grady shares a picture of a kitty. She could walk up to me and poke me in the face, and I wouldn't know who she was.
Yeah.
Unless she's wearing a furry.
Yeah. Well, my Facebook picture, it don't look anything like me now.
My YouTube picture doesn't look like me.
That's what I meant. My YouTube picture.
My YouTube picture. I didn't have any of this. I'm not too sure I'm going to keep it on much longer.
Right.
If I do, I'm probably going to start keeping it trimmed up to make it a little bit more present. I don't like the mustache overhanging my lip. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
I was going to trim it up today, and I was like, yeah, I just don't have time. We had to go to Walmart and do some shopping and stuff, and visit with my mom for a while, get gas for the car, and I'm just like, all right, whatever.
Let me tell you this, and she's going to probably give you a boot and a turd and stuff because of that. But my loved sister Ace, we both have phobias of talking on the telephone and things like that. We talked. I think it's night before last, day before yesterday. Put it that way. And I don't remember if she called me or I called her, and we were on the phone probably around 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock that evening, and we got off the phone at 6 o'clock the next morning.
There's a gnat being caught in the middle.
I love
Are you awake yet? Yeah, I am now. Okay, let's carry on.
Yeah. And his video phone, which I think why we were able to do it, because we could see each other. Right. And there at one point, we was both eating, and she's like, "Give me a bite of that." And then without thinking, me being me and her being Ace, I just picked up a spoonful of the food I had and just flicked it right at the damn phone. And I'm still cleaning shit off the walls and everything. But it is.
Sid? Yeah, David Glunt. I've actually met Sid in person.
I met him.
I met Sid. I actually played guitar with Mike, and Frankie sang with us. And the first time I met Frankie, I walked up and she was standing beside her dad, and that was in 2023 at the YouTube Mid-America meetup. I walked up beside Frankie, and she was standing behind her dad. And as I'm standing beside her, I looked at her and I said, "I thought you'd be much taller." And she looked at me and she said, "What?" And I says, "Frankie, Dave Moffat, how you doing?" And that's when Mike turned around. He says, "Dave Moffat." And I was like, "Yeah, Dave Moffat, how you doing?" He's good. He says, "Sid's right over there." I says, "I know. I already said hi to her. Sid's much shorter than I thought she would be too."
Yeah. Well, see, I told you Ace done gave me a boot and a turd.
Well, Ace, I am glad I got to meet you this year because that was really cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of the people like Jason and Tara, White Rock Homestead.
Yeah. I finally got to meet them.
I've met them 2 times in a row now with the Mid American meetups, and Jason and I have actually become pretty good friends.
Yeah.
Same
He's a
thing with
brother.
Mike. I got the name right here. Mike and Terry.
Yeah. Well, see,
MT Homestead.
yeah, see,
We actually have been able. Actually, the last Mid American meetup, I seen Mike and Terry,
yeah,
and I talked to Terry first, and then I went over and I talked to Mike, and they were just getting ready to unload all of these really cool like tumbler coffee mugs off the back of the truck.
yeah.
And he's like, "Can you help carry them over?" Hell yeah, I can. And I
Mhm.
carried him over, and he opened up the box and pulled one out to make sure that they looked good
Yeah.
because his name was on it, and then the Mid American
Until they got
meetup,
to, until they
and
got
then
to
somebody
the
else's name was on the bottom of it. He pulled it up, and he's looking at it, and I looked at him. I says, "Mike, I don't care if I win anything else here today while we're here. I want to go home with one of them mugs. Can I buy one from you right now?" And he says, "No, you can only get it by winning." And I'll be damned if that's the only thing I brought back.
really. Well, see,
It was.
and
And I still use it today. It's an awesome coffee mug.
yeah, the funny part about Mike and them mugs when they were given away,
Yeah, I could have made them.
he didn't check all of them,
No, he didn't.
and
He just
he's
took like
giving
two or
away.
three out of each box.
Yeah, and he was pulling some out to give away, and they were all blank. So
Oh, really?
yeah, it was like,
Oh,
ah. And see, Jesse from Lazy Days Ahead was the ones that
his
actually
sticker.
engraved all that
Well,
on
his
there.
sticker was on the bottom of them.
Yeah,
Yeah, I could have engraved them. I've got a laser engraver with a tumbler roller and all that, all set up in my shop. I could do that stuff all day long.
well, I'm going. Me and you are going to talk because I got some ideas, some things, and that I'd like to get done. Because I'd like not merch to sell, just some things that I would like to give out and stuff. So, and I, I've been, actually found a T-shirt on uh, Amazon of what my icon is,
Okay.
and actually, what I use as an icon, I found that years ago, and I thought it was a cool picture. And then after we got back from Oklahoma, well, no, it was right before Oklahoma because I found it, and I had the T-shirt. I pee outside. So I've been buying T-shirts off of Amazon, the regular commercial stuff, and giving them away. But I want to do something.
Well, I can custom print for you. I can put your name on it and your channel and all that stuff
Yeah.
with
Well,
whatever you send me. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Well,
Hey, David Glunt, I'm gonna be honest with you. When we were at the OK meetup in 2023, we just came back from a real fancy Mexican restaurant, and they only had this one beer listed on the menu. I didn't know they sold like Coors Light and all this other stuff. That was the only beer they showed on the menu. I tried it, and I thought it was the most disgusting beer I've ever had in my life. And I'm over there and I'm talking to him, and I drink Keystone Light. You know, I got it
yeah,
in a koozie like this, and I'm over talking to Jason, and of course he's over there and he's talking to Dave Warren at the same time.
yeah,
Come on, Mountain, and Jason looked at me and says, "How dare you put down that beer while you're standing there drinking a freaking Keystone Light, you migrant Minnesota person?" And I looked at him and says, "No, I'm a New York Yankee, and you're right. I can put down that beer. If I didn't known they had Coors Light, I would have ordered the Coors Light, but that beer that they gave us was nasty."
yeah,
He's like, "That's an expensive beer. It's a really good beer." And Dave Warren turned around, looked at me, and he says, "And you're
yeah,
drinking frickin' Keystone, and you have the right, or you think you have the right to put down that beer?" And I looked at him, I says, "You damn right I do.
yeah,
I got another Keystone in the cooler. I don't have another one of theirs."
yeah. Well, I tell you what, that the night that at Mike and Alyssa's, the night before we left, and we all went out the shoot pool and stuff like that, and met.
Oh, that was fun.
It
That was a
was
good
that
night.
was very, and well,
That's when we got. Lauren and Joe to come join us.
no,
Right?
no,
No.
well,
It was Kevin, and
yeah,
his wife.
I can't think of their names.
I can.
Really good people.
I got a list right here.
Yeah.
Wait, no, I don't have them on any lives. Wow, really? Yeah, it was Kevin and his wife, the ones that are always working for Mike and Lissa.
Yeah, yes.
Oh my God,
Really good people.
they got the antique store going on.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the channel, and I can't remember her name. That's sad.
Yeah, I can't either. But
We played pool with them for 2 hours. I can't believe I can't remember her name, and I can't believe the channel name.
Oh, that was the night. Lissa lost her wedding ring that night.
Yep. Well, she thought she lost it under the car. Mike ended up finding it under the seat.
Oh, I didn't know they found it because we were
all right. This is funny.
This
is funny. They actually found her ring. So what she did after Mike searched the car the next morning, he found the ring. So she took off the engagement ring, put the wedding ring on, and then put the engagement ring back on to hold the wedding ring on. The very next day, she lost both of them.
Oh, crap.
Yeah. So Mike said, that's it. You're getting tattooed.
Yeah.
And he said the same thing. I'd rather have a tattoo anyway. You can't catch it on anything.
Exactly. Well, back when I was in the Navy and everything, of course, we worked with steel cables and all that stuff.
That was funny. We had so many people in that parking lot with their phones with the flashlight app on, or little pocket flashlights. We're just looking for something to shine. There you go, O'Rourke's.
Yeah,
Kevin and Jamie O'Rourke's.
Yep.
Yeah, O'Rourke's Littlefield.
Yep.
We were out there. We had our phone apps on, and we had little flashlights on, and we're searching everywhere.
Under the car.
We looked in the door panels. We looked along the door edges, along by the edge of the seat. We searched the whole parking lot. When they backed out, we looked everywhere the car was parked, looking for anything shiny. There was absolutely nothing. Mike got home the next day, and he's going, that's it, Lisa, or Alyssa. He says, it wasn't in the parking lot. We can guarantee you that because we had too many people looking for the same ring. And nobody found anything. So here's what we're going to do. I'm gonna leave you at the house, and I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna move your front seat all the way back, and I'm gonna look under your seat, and that's when he found it.
Yeah. Well, see, it was a nighttime, so it's hard to find anything. And I opened the door, and I looked at Lisa and said, "Listen, I need y'all's permission before I do this, and I want you beside me to start going through their door panels and all that stuff." And
we pretty much tore the car apart, but what we didn't do was move the seat back and look underneath it.
Yeah.
And that's where Mike found it. But then the very next day, she lost both of them again. Both of them. This time, it was the engagement ring and the wedding ring. She didn't know where she lost it. It was down by the creek. Jamie and Kevin were down by the creek helping her look for it. Because it was down by the creek. She was doing something down by the creek and lost both rings.
Yeah. But
Mike lost his running the tractor.
Yeah.
And that's when he told Lisa after she lost both of hers. He says, that's it. We are going to both get tattoos because it makes sense. I think Gary and Melanie have tattoos as their wedding rings because Gary didn't want to wear one. Too. Yeah, Gary didn't want to wear one because he was doing the high run cable runs and stuff.
Well, see, that's why
you don't want to lose your finger.
The guys in the Navy, we worked all the steel cables, and I would actually make them. Before we deployed, I'd already got with a jeweler in town to come in and make a relief cut on the bottom of their wedding bands.
Yep.
I was like, look, I'm not going to make you take off your wedding bands or anything, but if you want to wear them, which I completely understand, if we're working with this wire rope and everything, which we get these little barbs stick out every now and then, and I actually had a couple of guys that actually skinned their fingers down to the bone. I said, the only way you can work is you go to this jeweler. I've done talked to him, and I've done paid him to any of y'all that come in there. it's paid for, but he has to make a relief cut on your wedding ring.
David, that's funny.
Yeah. But
There we go. I lost my wedding ring the day after I got home from my honeymoon. David, I'll be honest with you. I think it was like probably 3 weeks after I got married. I had my wedding ring on my finger, and my wife, she was a bitch. Her name was Barbie the bitch. So she was a bitch. She threw an empty video case at me, and I put my hand up to block it. It hit my ring, and it shattered the ring.
crap.
It shattered it. And I had a deal going with my boss. He says, I bet you don't have that ring on your finger 6 months. All right, I bet you $100 I do. Yeah, it was probably 3 weeks after. Yeah, you won. Here's your $50. But it wasn't because I took it off. It was
Yeah.
because she took it off.
Yeah.
I actually had a friend that was working on a farm, and he had his wedding ring on, and the wedding ring got caught on the edge of a nail on a hay wagon as he was jumping off, and it popped the whole end of his finger off.
Yeah.
And for me, that was like, okay, that pretty much tells me I don't want to wear a wedding ring.
Well, that's like
And when she shattered it, I was like, okay, good. I didn't want to wear it anyway.
what to see when we was doing that, and to see somebody their wedding ring get caught, and it skinned their fingers from right here to the very tip, and the only thing left is the bone. It's like, no, dude, no.
I actually had my dad's wedding ring because he wore that thing for 50 years.
Yeah.
And the gold was getting really thin on it and stuff like that, but his hand was swollen up and they couldn't take it off of him. And the doctor told him, he says, well, Mr. Moffat, we got to take the wedding ring off. And Dad looked at him and says, I don't know how you're planning on doing it. He says, I do. They went in with a pair of side cutters and they just started slowly cutting it away until it finally popped off his finger. My dad took his ring off. He looked at it and he looked at me and he says, your fingers are smaller than mine. You can have this put back together by the jeweler, and gave me his ring.
Yeah.
I looked at it. It was so thin. I was just like, yeah, Dad, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I mean, they would have to put it together with like silver solder.
Yeah.
So now you got a gold ring with silver solder holding it together. That solder would have been thicker than the rest of the ring.
I have the my dad do the same thing to him, and but I have the my old dog tags and dog tag chains,
Right.
and it actually I put on that. Actually, now it's my old dog tags, his dog tags from the Air Force, the bullets that they shot at his funeral. I had them drilled out, and they're on there too. And that wedding ring that he had cut off.
That's cool. So, I actually had I was doing this for a while. Back in my real young days, I had a computer store. And remember back in the real old days, you'd buy a computer, and they'd have like a 1/4 MB of RAM chips, or maybe it wasn't much. It was just little tiny RAM chips. I had a crap load of those, and I was just taking them out of the computers and putting them in a box. Yeah. And one of my employees says, what are you doing? I said, anything we take out of a computer, we're going to replace it with an upgraded one. Anything we take out of a computer, we're just going to put in this box. And he's like, what are we going to do with them? I said, well, if you buy that RAM chip today, it's only worth 10 cents.
Right.
The new ones are 100, but the old ones were only 10 cents.
Yeah.
I said, but I got a company I'm dealing with where they're going to send me a bunch of key rings. You just got to put a knife in there, open the key ring up, slide that RAM chip over it. Now we can sell a key ring with an old computer chip on it and sell them for $1. We sold 250 of them key rings.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't have sold all those RAM chips for that same $250 by any means. I probably would have been lucky to get $25 for them.
Yeah. Well, see, y'all start that RAM, talking that stuff, and I don't know what any of that is. That's all computer stuff. I can't do it. So when I decided to start trying to do YouTube, and I had an old camera, my phone, and that's all I had, and which I'm not very much graduated more above that, other than the fact that I bought a computer. But I bought a whole box of 120 gigabyte.
You see that camera right there between my two monitors?
Yeah.
That's the same one I'm using right now. $35. That one's attached. That one's attached to the shelf because we had that live going on that one night, and things just weren't working right.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I thought something happened to the camera, so I went out and I bought another one. It turned out my phone was trying to be the microphone.
Yeah.
I was like, "Are you freaking shit? Why? It never happened before." I had a microphone connected to the computer. I never once used a microphone connected to my computer.
Right.
I used the microphone off of these cheap ass cameras. That microphone cost me about $200. And
Yeah.
today I could hook it up and it would probably be recognized by the computer.
Yeah.
It'd be great sounding, but this works fine.
Yeah. Well,
Why change?
oh shoot, sorry, but I got a camera. I think I paid $10 for the camera that I use now, and it's even got a halo that goes around it and stuff like that. The
Yep.
microphone I got, I think I probably got maybe $20 in it.
Okay,
And
so my camera was 35 and it's got a built-in microphone.
yeah, I haven't got
Bought it
that.
at Walmart. Bought it at Walmart.
Yeah. Well,
And
I can't drive, so I can't go anywhere. Most of my groceries even come from Walmart, with the exception of the meat and
I
dairy
tried
products.
my meat doesn't come from Walmart. I go to Price Chopper for that
Right.
because
Well,
it's a better quality.
yeah.
Walmart quality meat is terrible.
Yeah.
Unless you buy like the ribeye steak burgers, those
Right.
are really good.
The only
Other,
time,
other than that, I try to stay away from their meat department.
the only thing I get from them is their uh, salmon steaks.
I don't even get those.
Well, because since I can't chew, steak. I can't eat steaks because I can't chew them up and swallow them. Pork chops, I can't do that. So that's why I went to the salmon, because it's easy to chew up and I can swallow it
Right.
because of all the surgeries and stuff I've had in my throat. Other than that, it's the local grocery store, and all their meat comes from the local butchers.
Yep.
So I get the hamburger and sausage and all that. But I know the farm that they come from.
I actually have an advantage. My niece lives up in Syracuse, New York, about 30 miles away.
Yep.
And she ended up with a whole bunch of fresh ground hamburger from a local farmer.
Yeah.
And she told my brother Dale, she says, I've got like 35 pounds of this ground beef. I don't like ground beef. And Dale's like, what? And she says, I'd rather have chicken breasts. Well, Dale used to be the manager at the local Wegmans in Syracuse.
Right.
And he's like, I'll get you chicken breasts, honey. I'll trade you. And she's like, all right. Well, every time he trades her, Dale gets 3 pounds of ground hamburger from the farm. My mom gets 3 pounds of ground hamburger from the farm. And I get 3 pounds of ground hamburger from the farm.
Yeah.
He won't let us give him anything to pay for the chicken breast because he was a manager for so many years there. He gets smoking deals.
Yeah.
He's like, I get 9 pounds of hamburger for like $6. What the hell do I care about what you guys pay for?
Right.
I'm not going to use all that hamburger, but in the same respect, she doesn't want the hamburger. I'll give her her chicken.
Yeah. Well, it's like Ed at Whistle Stop Homestead. He drives a truck that hauls the chicks.
Southern Best Homestead?
Whistle Stop Homestead.
Okay.
And he was talking last night on his live that he said, I'm thinking about buying it because he has the option. He can get 40 pounds of chicken for $50. And I'm like, dude, you're crazy not to.
Yeah.
And it's off the bone.
Yeah.
So you're 40 pounds of meat that you can eat for $50.
Yeah. My latest thing at Walmart, ground beef is over $5 a pound right now.
Yeah.
But if you go into the freezer food aisle, I think it's like the last freezer section before you get into the seafoods and all that.
Yeah.
There's an area where they sell ground turkey. You can buy ground turkey for like $1.98 a pound. I think it is now. The first time I bought it was like $1.28. But you can also buy the ground turkey with taco seasoning already in it.
Yeah, I've seen
And
that.
if you cook that down, you will not know you're not eating a beef taco. That
Right.
stuff is phenomenal.
Yeah.
My mom wanted me to give her some of the when we did the life celebration on Thursday.
Right.
She wanted me to bring back some leftover cabbage rolls. Well, I didn't stay to the end. I didn't even stay till people started eating because I wasn't needed anymore. It made no sense to be there. And my mom's like, "Oh, did you bring back any cabbage rolls?" And I says, "No, I didn't. But here's what we did do. We went to Walmart today. I
Mm-hmm.
bought the smallest head of cabbage I could find. I think it was 71 cents.
Right.
And I'm gonna use the ground turkey with taco seasoning with maybe a pound of hamburger. Cook the two of them together
Oh, that would be good.
and do a recipe that I've never done before, and I'll make her cabbage rolls she wants because
Yeah.
she won't do them. She's one person, 90 years old. I'm not gonna make 50 cabbage rolls for one person,
Yeah.
not even a dozen. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, the head of cabbage I got probably will make a dozen. I don't think I can get beyond a dozen of them because it's a really small cabbage head. I mean, it's the thing size of a softball,
Right.
but it's enough. And I told Leah, I says, well, I'm buying this. And she's like, well, they got bigger ones. And I says, there's no sense getting a bigger one. I don't know if I even like it.
Right.
And she's like, well, I do. Yeah, but not the way I'm going to make it because you've never had it that way before. I don't think anybody ever has.
Yeah.
I've never made it. So I'm going to experiment with that one and see what it tastes like. And then we're going to go from there.
Right.
You
Well,
know?
it's like Ed at Whistle Stop. He was on Amy's live a couple weeks ago on her cooking channel, and they got talking about it. And he makes a taco pickle.
Taco pickle.
Yeah, where he gets because she was making the Kool-Aid flavored pickles, where you get the pickles and then add the Kool-Aid into it, which kind of looks a little sweeter, different colors like that. And
Right.
Ed jumped on. He said, "Well, I kind of do the same thing, but rather than the Kool-Aid adding to them, he adds taco seasoning into a jar of pickles, and then lets it set in the fridge and stuff, and it makes a taco pickle. And evidently
was-
that is really good."
I was actually thinking that I was going to do. I got to buy another jar now because I filled the other one I had with all the tea bags I got just
Yeah.
to get it out of the mice zone. But I was actually thinking about doing boiled eggs with chili seasoning.
That would be good.
I think so.
It
think
would.
so.
I would actually. I'd like to do that with and actually try it with Old Bay malt.
Okay.
But I did. I seen something the other day which I do want to try, and but it was they smoked tomatoes to make smoked tomato soup.
Okay.
But right beside the tomatoes, they put fresh from their farm eggs in there. They smoked the eggs,
Really?
and once they said they're perfectly cooked, but it's a smoked egg. Never heard of it, but
Yeah, me neither. Actually, speaking of eggs, I've only got 9 chickens. I think I'm dealing with my Fisher cat again. I just noticed that this morning, so that's going to be another issue for another day. I'm probably going to be getting up real early in the morning from here on out and just
well,
like sitting
yeah.
sitting at the window with a 22, just going, hey, you know what? If he's out there, I'm going to shoot him through the window. I don't care. I'll replace the glass.
Yeah.
It's an old window anyway. It's a single pane, and it may defer the first bullet, but the second one's going to be dead on. I don't care.
Well,
But it's I've been going out there like every 4 days,
Mm-hmm.
and within the last, I'm gonna say 4 weeks, we've
Right.
given away 7.5 dozen eggs,
Right.
and I'm pretty sure I got another dozen and a half today.
Yeah.
These weren't so clean as they had been, but they're getting bigger. And
Right.
I'm like, okay, cool. Everybody keeps giving me these 18 egg cartons. And I'm like, yeah, that's a dozen and a half. That's not going to work.
Right.
If I want to sell eggs, I'm selling them by the dozen. They
Yeah.
do it locally, farm fresh eggs, $4 a dozen. Well, that
Yeah.
pays for the chicken feed.
Well, you know what gets me. Used to years ago, we used to be able to get them, and of course, I don't use them that much, so I don't need to buy a whole dozen of eggs. We used to be able to buy half dozen eggs,
Yep.
which
Yep.
is just a carton cut in half,
Yep.
and
For
for
twice
X
the
amount
price.
nowadays it would be,
Yeah.
but yeah, I wish I could find a half dozen eggs because I wouldn't waste them, and I wouldn't have to go mainly to and you buy and powdered eggs.
Well, see, my problem was is because I was doing a lot of zucchini bread, a lot of carrot cake, a lot of
Yeah,
this, a lot of that. I actually had like 4.5 dozen of eggs in my refrigerator.
yeah,
I was like, I don't know if I got enough eggs to do this, so I'll buy another dozen and a half.
yeah,
And I don't know. I made this, so I don't know how many eggs I got. I'll go buy another dozen and a half. And I ended up with like almost 4.5 dozen eggs in the refrigerator.
right.
And I've got this thing that I bought at Walmart. It's just a little round thing that holds 7 eggs. It comes
Yeah,
with a cup that says, okay, if you fill it up to this point, pour it in, turn it on, wait till it beeps, put them in the refrigerator or whatever to let them cool, and then peel them, and they're hard boiled, and life goes on.
right.
And so I bought it. I ran a double batch through it. So I had like 18 hard boiled eggs in the carton. And
Yeah,
I just wrote on the outside of the carton, hard boiled with a Sharpie marker.
right.
And my mom's
Yeah.
caretaker,
I got to go
each,
real quick,
each,
and I got to make a left-hand turn.
okay, out to get another piece of fire. Yeah, I had all these eggs, and I was like, my mom's caretaker likes hard boiled eggs, and her dog likes hard boiled eggs. My mom likes hard boiled eggs, so I did 18 eggs of hard boiled eggs for her and my mom and the dog. And then I just give them another 18 eggs the other day, and I was like, well, these all need to be washed. And you know what happens when you wash them? You got to put them in the refrigerator. If you don't wash them, they have the blossom on the outside of them, and they can sit on the counter for 30 days or 90 days or whatever, and they're fine. But the minute you wash them, they got to go in the refrigerator. That's always the fun part with raising chickens. But when mine started laying eggs, my green eggs were only about an inch and a half tall. They were little tiny eggs, and now I'm getting about 2 inch or 2.5 inch brown egg every now and then. But all the green eggs are about 2 inches tall, so they're getting to be bigger and bigger and bigger. So when they reach a point where I can actually start selling eggs, I'll start selling eggs. Until that point reaches where I can start selling the eggs, I'm just going to keep giving them away or whatever. But it's also to the point where now I think I'm dealing with this Fisher cat again. My 22, it looks like an AR, and it has more than 10 rounds in the clip, by the way. If that Fisher cat is what I think I seen digging in an area today, I will be posting up with that gun sitting on my lap, just watching out the window. And if it goes up, sucks to be
Yeah,
that glass window. I thought about raising the window, but it's getting cool out every night. Right now it's down to 53 with rain.
yeah,
I'm not doing it. My brother says, "Well, put a screen in the window. You can shoot through a $10 screen. It's cheaper than the glass." And I'm like, I got plexiglass in my shop. I'm not too worried about the price of the glass. What I'm worried about is I've gone through three different uh, varieties of chickens to get to where I'm at now, and they're just starting to really produce a lot. So I don't want
yeah,
to have to worry about the Fisher cat taking my chickens anymore. Sucks to be that window.
Yeah, no
I
kidding.
got quarter-inch plexiglass that says that one little piece of that one little thin piece of really old glass doesn't really matter much anymore. I can take that out of the window, or I can build a whole new window the same size with quarter-inch plexiglass.
Yep.
It's probably
That's
better insulated than that cheap ass one that's in there now anyway. I don't
yeah.
care.
Yeah.
I don't care. I'm gonna do it.
Well, it's like, we had, when I was a teenager, we lived up on the hill back here behind the house. And you've been here, about where that was at. And I don't know,
Yeah, down in the valley, up on the mountain.
up on, yeah. And it was a residential neighborhood. But I kind of got in trouble, and I don't know how many deer that we pulled out of our yard from me shooting through the window
Yeah.
to harvest them. And the neighbors, they first like, well, you can't do that. We're in a residential neighborhood. But then they really loved the cookouts that we had.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
they stopped
right
complaining.
behind me is a big cornfield, like right here. This whole
Yeah.
backside of my house. This is all one big cornfield. It's probably 14, 15 acres of cornfield.
Right.
Deer are in that cornfield all the time because I had the two oak trees out front, and now I got the one white oak still out there.
Yeah.
The white oak puts out the most acorns. The
Mhm.
red oak that we just cut down really doesn't put out much anyway. They're a biannual acorn setter, and they don't put out much.
Yeah.
But the deer will walk right up into my front yard and eat those acorns along with the chipmunks, and then just slowly mosey across the road, probably get run over in front of the house or just down the road from me or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, if I shoot a deer, I made sure between the seed house and my house there's a sidewalk with a flower bed.
Right.
I've got a good 4 foot pass between that edge of the flower bed and the seed house. I can grab a deer, I can drag it out behind the porch. From that point on, it's all trees. Nobody can see anything on my backside.
Yeah.
Nobody. I mean, it's so private back there. I can go back there and do sunbathe all summer long, and nobody would even know I was in the backyard.
Too much information there, David.
Yeah, no, not really.
Well, as long as you don't show it on YouTube, we're good.
Oh, okay. I won't tell you about it. But no, I mean, nobody can see the backside of my house.
Yeah.
I got plenty of room out there to just go out and hang a deer up. I actually got a big maple tree behind my house I could hang a deer on. And other than the guys that deliver my propane, they'd never even know it was there.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they're dumb enough not even to look for a tag,
Yeah.
which is good.
Yeah.
You know,
But,
I know my neighbors all around me hunt. So they'd be like, oh, you shot a deer in your front yard? Cool.
yeah.
You know, they wouldn't give two shits about it.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if there's a highway that runs across the front. Was there a car going by? Nope. Okay, good. You're all set.
Yeah. What, David Glunt, the same thing is at the backside of my property too. There, little pile of corn and the salt licks and
Yep.
the there's some. It's not salt, but it's apple and all the stuff that's compressed into a block and
Yeah, apple molasses and
all that stuff.
apple molasses and corn.
Yep.
I actually had an apple tree in my backyard that got blown down in our last tornado that went through.
Yep.
And the deer used to go underneath that apple tree, and they would go there when they were like, the apples were already been on the ground for a while and they were starting to ferment. And they'd go in there and they'd eat the apples and stagger across the yard.
Yeah.
Well, that apple tree now lays sideways.
Mm-hmm.
The roots are still on it. It's still putting out apples. So now when they fall off, they roll down into the cornfield behind me.
Oh,
and the deer are always, it's like not even 30 feet behind my house. Yeah. You'll look out there and you'll see deer where they got to them apples and they're just like kind of laying around the yard eating on an apple and they're drunkard and shit.
Yeah. Well, I got 2 apple trees in the backyard, and it nothing. A lot of times I go out there on the back porch, and all you see is the deer on their back legs trying to get up to the
Yep.
apples that hadn't fell yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. The ones that's been on the ground for a while.
Oh yeah, they like those. They're fermented.
Yeah.
They're fermented. They get drunk on them.
Yeah.
You ever watch any of them videos of the I think it was like in Africa or something like that, where certain trees would drop certain things and they'd ferment on the ground and they'd all go over there and they'd eat them and get drunk. You'd have lions. You'd have lions sitting next to elephants, next to like giraffes,
Yeah.
and they're all over there drunk. Hyenas and everything. They're all drunk and just kind of all hanging out together. It was like a big party. I used to watch those videos and they were funny. I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
I like watching a bunch of drunks hanging out.
It reminds me of a family reunion. So that.
Yeah. Except for we're not looking to hook up.
Yeah, that's right. Well, David, I'm going to have to get off here.
I'm thinking the same thing too, brother.
I got to fix something to eat. So
we started this thing almost 3.5 hours ago.
No shit.
Yeah, 7 o'clock till 10:20.
Dang.
Yeah.
But hey, it's been fun. I enjoyed it.
I enjoy it too, and I don't care how long we stay on, as long as people keep joining us. Life goes on.
Yeah.
Everybody that's been here, don't forget to go to my channel, like, subscribe. Look up Troy's channel, like and subscribe. I'm sharing a whole lot of AI generated music with my own lyrics to it and stuff on my channel.
Great.
Troy's working out on his thing with the diorama. It's going to be a video coming up real soon. Yeah. Just everybody pay attention to what we've been doing, what we're doing, and where we go from here. And have a great rest of your weekend.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to see y'all later. Take care. Love all y'all.
Later, everybody.